Welcome to It's early. Give me a break, guys. Welcome to the Brian Craig Show. My name is Brian Craig. Very undercaffeinated and could hardly say my own name there. Welcome. We've got a lot to talk about. This is where MAGA comes to talk. There are a lot of issues I'm going to cover today. Of course, the first issue, they did get the Brown University shooter. They say the target was the Jewish professor of Israeli studies, and the Brown University shooter also is the assassin of the MIT Jewish professor. So this anti-Semitism that's going on in this country is sickening. So we're going to talk a little bit about this at the beginning. There's many other issues I'm going to bring up as well, but this one here, we found out he was here. This is a foreigner here on a green card who got his green card through the green card lottery, which you know how random lotteries are. And President Trump has shut down the green card lottery. You know, you look at the world where there, you know, in particular, you look at the first world countries, the United States, throughout Europe, okay, the countries of Europe, and Australia. Look what's just happened in Australia. And we're going to learn more about this guy as time goes on. We know a little bit, not a lot. He's Portuguese. But last weekend in Australia, they had this deadly attack on the beach there, an Islamic terrorist attack, just murdering Jews for no reason other than that they're Jews. And the leftist in Australia, what are they doing? What's their response to that? It's very similar to the response of the left in this country. Their response is more gun control. And in Australia, they have incredibly strict gun control, but they want more gun control. Now, we're not hearing about gun control this morning because we have MAGA Republicans in charge. But that's typically where things go. Is the problem really guns and gun control issues, or is it this uncontrolled, unscreened immigration that's going on to the first world countries of the world? And, you know, the left today, they may start some celebration that the Brown shooter, who now we also know is the MIT assassin, professor assassin, isn't from one of the Muslim countries. He's from Portugal, which I know is in Europe. But, you know, this is the thing. You know, the problem is with what's going on in Europe, what just happened in Australia, and what's going on in this country with this incident and many more, is the immigration. The immigration. Uncontrolled, unscreened, unverified people just being allowed to come into this country or Australia or some other first world country. And, you know we've had massive waves of immigration into the United States over the years. I get that. But the wave of immigration that's been coming here, and by the way, if you'd like to call in and agree or disagree with anything I'm saying, you're welcome to do that. The toll-free number is pinned in the live chat. It's 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. The wave of immigration around the world to first world countries today is not like the settler days, okay, that founded this country and others. For someone in this day and age, 2025, in the 21st century, why is someone picking up their entire life, abandoning their friends, their family, their country, and moving to a completely new country and a different part of the world where they don't even speak the language? And this is not the same immigration as our great-grandparents and great-great-great-great-grandparents throughout American history. We're talking about the immigration of the 21st century. And it seems to me most people, if you take it out of immigration, I know people that move insanely frequently from state to state. Here I am in Florida, right? So I've grown up here in Florida. This is not where I was born, but this is where I was actually born in Rhode Island, of all places. My father was in the Marine Corps when I was born, stationed at a naval base in Rhode Island, and I was born there. But my family's from Ohio, and I've lived in Florida since I was 10 or 11 years old. Since like 1981, 1982 is when I moved to Florida. So I've been here almost my entire life. So I'm a Floridian. And it blows my mind when people leave Florida and move to another state. A lot of people in Florida move to North Carolina for some reason. People retire that are Floridians, and then they move to another state. Or, for whatever reason, they move somewhere else in another state. And most often, and tell me if I'm wrong about this. Now, again, there's always exceptions, and I'm not saying this is a rule, but this is just anecdotal with people I've known in my adult life. People I've known in my adult life who leave Florida, which is paradise. This is the tropics. I'm wearing a hoodie right now, but I could wear a T-shirt and shorts right now. The weather's so nice. It's going to be in the 80s today. And the reason I'm wearing a hoodie is because I'm wearing a T-shirt, and I didn't realize it has a lot of green in it, and I'm using a green screen on YouTube, so it interferes with the green screen effect. So I grabbed a hoodie out of the closet. It's not cold here. It's beautiful. It's paradise. It's the tropics. I know somebody will tell me it's the subtropics. It's the tropics. And when people leave Florida and move everything, themselves, their family or whatever, and they move to another state, in particular a northern state, typically it's people that are escaping something in their life. There's something in their life that's not going well, and they leave Florida and they think that things are going to be better for them in North Carolina or wherever it is they move to. Nothing against North Carolina, but a lot of cops in Florida retire and go to North Carolina. Who would leave paradise? Right? Exactly. And I imagine that's the case in this day and age, based on what I'm seeing in the news and things that happen with people that come to the United States from these other countries around the world. They're escaping something. Something's wrong in their life. Something's wrong with them in a lot of cases. Right? And there are people that are coming over here to try to correct themselves, and you know what? They can't do it. When people are criminals, right, and they go to prison sometimes for 20 years, what do they do when they get out? That's right, they reoffend. So a lot of people come to the United States from around the world that have messed up lives in their home country. Maybe they're criminals, escaping the law. Maybe they have mental illnesses, like this guy, the Brown MIT shooter, right? And they come over here. There's all kinds of problematic people that are coming to America, and when they get here, like everyone else, that's a lifelong criminal or mental patient, they revert to their crime, their life of crime, or their mental illnesses come out. They're the same person in a different place. And there's zero screening. And in this day and age, with the technology that we have, it should be very easy to do all kinds of screenings right quick, right there, to find out people's background. The background of their family and their associates, their mental health background. If you're immigrating to the United States for screening, there's no problem with you having to give up all rights to all kinds of privacy, including medical records. And we're letting too many criminals and mental patients into our country. How many people in this country are dead because of this uncontrolled immigration that's been going on, like this green card lottery? We have 3 people dead that we know of. There could be more with this guy, but at least 3 people are dead because of the green card lottery. I mean, this new thing that we just have learned about in the last few months, about how many people are killed by foreigners with driver's licenses who don't know what they're doing. You know, when I went down to Miami a couple days, I was telling you guys I had to go down to Miami Beach with my wife, and we're coming back during the rush hour time. It was a mess. And foreign drivers on the road that have driver's licenses, they have no business. Sometimes they are driving trucks. Those of you that are South Florida people, I was on US 1 and Aventura during rush hour. And there were a couple of trucks I saw on the road, not 18-wheelers, but, you know, like big, box trucks that used by local companies. These guys driving them, you could tell by the way they were handling themselves on the road during rush hour, they don't have the experience or the training to be driving these trucks. And Miami is a place where there's lots of illegals that have gotten here. You know, it's a problem in this country. And they want to keep making these comparisons to the settlement days of the United States. Back in the days of the mass immigration to the United States was not a developed country. It was a new country with a lot of space that was not yet developed or even fully settled. It is now. And not only are we a first world country, we are the first world country in the center of the world, the United States, the greatest country on the planet. And the time to, and even back in those days, there was screening processes and limitations when it came to immigration. So this idea of uncontrolled, unverified people coming over here, how many Americans are dead because of it? We know 3 in the last week between Brown University and MIT with one shooter. They got a visa through a visa lottery, just randomly giving visas to people. There need to be extensive backgrounds to get green card. Remember that movie Green Card with Gerard Depardieu and who was the girl in Green Card? He was trying to get a green card, and the whole movie was about they were committing green card fraud by pretending to be married. And in that movie, it was a big hit movie back in the day, and a rom-com before they called them rom-coms. And a lot of the movie showed the extensive investigation that immigration was doing to Gerard Depardieu's character. And in his real life, he's got all kinds of problems. That's a guy you don't want to let into any country, right, if you've seen what he's been going up against. But, now, since this era of Obama in particular, they just let anybody who's breathing here with no background check, no investigations, nothing. And I haven't seen anyone put a number on it. I don't know if it's possible, but how many people have been killed in the United States just since Obama became president in 2008 and now from this new wave of unverified immigrants that have been allowed into the country, both legal and illegal, because this guy was a legal immigrant with the visa, with the green card lottery, right? Andy McDowell, that was the woman in Green Card. Thank you very much. Somebody in the chat said Andy, and right there. But whatever happened to Andy McDowell? She might ask herself that question from time to time. All right, now, if you're on hold, stand by. Today's Friday, and on Friday, it's open phones on Friday. We call it Open MAGA Mike Friday. And on Open MAGA Mike Friday, you're welcome to call in about any and everything on your mind. You don't have to talk about at all even the topics that we bring up on the program, Steve Kane and I. The show prep is up to all of you. The other days of the week, although it's a lot like herding cats doing it, but Monday through Thursday, you have to talk about the issues and subjects and stories we bring up. On Friday, you can call in about any and everything on your mind. So it's open phones, Open MAGA Mike Friday. The number is pinned in the live chat. It's toll-free, 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. If you're on hold, stand by. We'll take a quick break and be right back. This past year has been one of the hardest in MyPillow's history. It's because of you they're making it through the year. They want to thank you for your continued support by passing on some Christmas specials to our listeners. Get the Children's Bible Story Pillow, the 5-pack, for just $29.98. Get the My Slippers with a free bottle of leather protectant spray for $39.98. Blankets, comforters, and duvets for as low as $25. And a blowout sale on the standard MyPillows for just $14.98. So go to MyPillow.com or call 1-800-716-4879 and use the promo code KANE to take advantage of these wholesale prices, including the standard size MyPillow, originally $49.98, now just $14.98. Queens, $18.99. Kings, only $1 more. MyPillow products come with a 10-year warranty, but MyPillow has just announced they're extending their 60-day money-back guarantee. That's right. Orders placed between now and December 25th will have their 60-day money-back guarantee extended through March 1st, 2026. So go to MyPillow.com, use our promo code KANE at checkout, KANE, or call 1-800-716-4879. Promo code KANE for huge savings on your Christmas shopping. Sometimes the hardest thing to ask for is help. And yet behind closed doors, millions of families are struggling with the basics. The light bill, the rent, the phone that keeps them connected to work and school. Not because they failed, but because life hits hard. That's why there's CloakedCare.com, a first-of-its-kind platform built on dignity, privacy, and real compassion. At CloakedCare.com, people can privately post the essential bills they're fighting to keep up with: utilities, medical cost, rent, phone, and more. And donors can choose a bill and pay directly toward it, with funds sent straight to the verified service providers. There's no uncertainty, no middlemen, just real help for real needs. CloakedCare.com was founded by Marine Corps veteran Leighton Clybourne and was named the best anonymous bill payment service in the United States for 2025, honoring its transparent and innovative approach to modern giving. At CloakedCare.com, every contribution makes a measurable impact, keeping a home warm, a phone connected, or the lights on during a tough month. It's people helping people, quietly, respectfully, transparently. CloakedCare.com. That's CloakedCare. Visit today to ask for help or to be the help someone's been praying for. CloakedCare.com. All right, we're back. I'm Brian Craig. The number 888-465-2631. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, good morning. This is Richie.
Hey, Richie. Well, I guess you're not. I guess you were never a bus driver, because you said if it wasn't that Muslim guy the other day, you were never a bus driver.
Yeah, but at the same time, I agree with that. But at the same time, the way they were throwing the little tidbits at the people, they weren't honest with us.
Yeah.
At all. If they, so I mean, you had to speculate. And
No, you're right. No, I'm not giving you a hard time. No, you're talking about things in real time. No, you're nothing. Listen, I'm telling you, these Providence police and mayor and Brown University people may be responsible for that MIT professor murder, because they were holding back. There's no doubt they're holding back.
Not just that. Speak about holding back. The witch that runs the college, the president, the female liberal. She got questioned yesterday.
I saw it.
She deflected. Why aren't there cameras in that whole? And she said, well, they had cameras on the street. That wasn't the question.
Yeah.
Had the cameras, they would have had this guy in a matter of minutes, and this guy in Boston, Massachusetts, would have gotten murdered. The professor. There's been a lot
of talk in the media that they did not have cameras at that building because of the Palestinian lunatics that are there with their they've been trying to hide out these jihadis at Brown.
Yeah, I want to get to that. Here we go. In World War II, do you think the United States would have had Japanese students going to the colleges that want to make all sorts of money, so they don't care less who they sell their scholarships to? They just want the bucks.
Exactly.
Would they have had Nazis from Germany come in there at Harvard? Or Brown or any other.
Exactly.
Would they have done that? Why is it in the year 2025 we accept this crap?
Yep.
But they actually go out. They import these American-hating people that infiltrate the students of America and take over campuses with this Israel to the sea crap. I mean, They should all been, and they should have all been deported at the end of all those demonstrations. We tried to deport the one guy, and the Democrats tried to stop it. And matter of fact, they were successful with a liberal judge. You know, the guy that in New York City that was Columbia that caused all that trouble.
Yeah.
I mean, so the bottom line, President Trump has it right on the head, but everyone says, "Oh, you're a racist and a bigot." You tell the truth in this country. It's all about the dollars. These sellout colleges could care less. They'll import mass murderers here. They could care less.
Hold on, Richard. While I answer these other phones, my phones are ringing off the hook. But you know, this immediate reaction by President Trump, very good one, suspending the green card lottery. You know, you know, this wave of immigrants that are coming here. There's no screening, no vetting. They're drug dealers, drug traffickers, gangbangers, rapists, killing people in traffic accidents, doing mass shootings. I mean, my goodness.
Do you know who we educated? Right. Do you know who we educated here? One of the most famous people we educated in New York City and NYU, who spoke perfect English, but you never heard him speak English?
Castro.
Fidel Castro.
Yeah, Castro.
Fidel Castro. Yeah. A guy. So we educated this guy. Why don't we learn? I think Osama bin Laden was educated in the United States.
Bin Laden? I've not heard that one. But it wouldn't surprise me. Wouldn't surprise. You know, there's one interview I saw with Castro before he took over, and he was in New York talking about wanting to see the New York Yankees play. The guy speaks English as good as we do. Oh, he did. Yeah, his English is as good as ours.
We don't learn from our mistakes. These colleges have to be put in line. It's all about money. It's money. Money is destroying this country all around it. All the politicians, the colleges, they're all. Everybody is all. I mean, it's really, really out of control, man. I mean, not for nothing. The little guy just has to go and get his lunchbox, go to work, come home, and that's it. Because if he starts looking at all this thing like I do, he'll go crazy.
And they're very vague on the motive of this guy. They said his target was the Jewish professors, both of them. I guess the Republican girl got in the way. I don't know.
Well, Brian, 2001. You know how long ago that was? Mm-hmm. He went to that college in 2001.
Yeah.
And he went to school with this in the 90s with this college professor.
Yeah.
What do you hold a grudge for 30 years?
Obviously.
There's something wrong here. And he planned everything. I mean, there's got to be something. You've got to be right, but I don't think they're ever going to come down to find out. I mean, you got his Facebook page, anything. You can't find anything out. They hide, they whitewash everything.
And I gotta tell you, I was very disappointed that I was watching the crime scene at the warehouse where he took his own life and everything, and it was the U.S. Marshals and the U.S. What department are the U.S. Marshals under? I guess they're under the Justice Department, right? But I mean, this was it was across state lines. You know, New England's tiny. I mean, you could walk from Rhode Island to Massachusetts. I mean, you could. I've known people that have driven through the entire state of Rhode Island and didn't even realize it. Okay, I mean, I'm not kidding.
That was a mile away, by the way.
Yeah,
that was a mile away from the state line.
Why wasn't the FBI there and being led by Kash Patel or Bongino? I mean, come on, guys, kick in a door like Tom Homan.
The FBI showed up late. They did. They came in with
you know,
trucks.
Cash is too worried about his girlfriend. Okay? You know, he seems to be too wrapped up in his girlfriend. And I know she's probably the hottest girl he's ever been with. Well, put a ring on her and then marry her. But, you know, if you're so wrapped up, it's not high school Cash. I'm sorry.
Brian, it's amazing. And I'm going to go back to this. I have to go back to her. Why didn't they have cameras? Why? And she has that cocky smile and attitude. You saw that. I guess you saw what why did she? And they let her get away with deflecting. There's protect. You know, I'm tired of these news conferences after the fact that the people die. They get up there and they tap themselves on the shoulder and tell you how great their investigation was. I mean, not for nothing. Enough is enough.
No,
man.
this was the worst. The worst.
She dropped the ball, and they didn't tell. They kept too much information away from the public. Mm-hmm. I mean, to the point where we didn't even know this guy's name until the news conference after the fact.
I think they were holding back information because even if they didn't know who it was, they had a good chance it was one of their protected classes, right? Somebody. It wasn't a MAGA person, not a white MAGA person. They knew it was a minority, maybe Muslim, whatever, immigrant, illegal or legal, and they didn't want that out there. That's it.
They also They also said that he barked instead of saying Allah Akbar. That
Yeah.
he barked. So the bottom line
He's
is...
still,
he couldn't have told
it doesn't,
people
just
at that
because
time-
he's Portuguese doesn't mean he's not Muslim,
No, I know that. There's got to be a reason why they said he didn't say nothing, and the other people said he barked like a dog.
Yeah.
So in other words, why didn't you just tell that to people right away? Why did you leave us hanging like that?
Exactly.
Because it ain't true. That's why.
That's right.
It's not true.
They concocted some BS thing. Yeah.
Crap.
Well,
I don't believe half of it comes out of their mouth.
There really needs to be an investigation of the investigation.
Absolutely. And that mayor made me sick. Wally Cox on steroids.
With an X. Yeah. All right, Richie. I got to run. We're a little more than a minute away. If you're on hold, stand by. We're a little more than a minute away from the radio show starting. Okay. Let me check the exact time. They just told me we're going to start in about a minute and 20 seconds or so. We'll be live on the radio. So this is still the pre-show. If you're on hold, stand by. If you'd like to call in, the number's pinned in the live chat. 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. We have 1 minute to go. Oh, man, I tell you, the left. What good comes out of the left, really? Can you think of anything? Not much, huh? Not much. Very little good comes out of the left, if in really nothing. All right, stand by, guys. Got about 30 seconds. Do any of you watch that show on Amazon, the Pluribus, with the girl from Better Call Saul? Any of you watch that, or am I a man alone? I watched the new episode that dropped today. Early this morning. All right, here we go. Welcome to the program, everyone. My name is Brian Craig. You are listening to Florida's longest-running radio show, The Steve Kane Show, on the radio since 1977. All right, so they got the Brown University shooter. It's been confirmed that they are also the MIT shooter. The target in both shootings were the Jewish professors. I'm very shocked at the little information we're getting from this. I know we're getting a little information here or there, but I'm talking about motive. The MIT, because that's what he is now, the MIT Brown shooter is a green card holder from Portugal. So we don't know much more than that at the time. Although he did go to that school many years ago in the early 2000s, and he did go to school with the MIT professor. Very little information on that. But President Trump has reacted quickly, swiftly, and done something that no one else would have the guts to do, and that is suspend the green card lottery. You know, this idea that people can come in here completely unverified, unscreened, without any looking into their background. And I don't just mean their social media. You know, a lot of these people come from countries where they have to go to an internet cafe to get on social media. I'm talking about not just criminal record searches, but also mental health. You know, this idea that anyone who wants to come to this country can come here without any deep screening into everything about the person is insane that this has been allowed to go on. And just because the guy's Portuguese doesn't mean he's not Muslim yet. We'll find out. But he's certainly a mental patient. And, you know, this is a question I have. And I've not heard this ever addressed, and I don't know if it's possible to put this number together, but how many people in this country are dead at the hands of immigrants just since 2008 when Barack Obama became president? Does anyone know? Have you seen any estimates on that? These are all people that would not be dead if immigration was handled properly. And there's a lot of slander going on with everything Trump does by the never Trumpers and the Democrats. President Trump is not against immigration. He's been married 3 times. 2 of them are immigrants, legal immigrants. But you've got to have some type of screening process that goes deep into if someone is leaving their country behind, they're leaving everything. They're leaving their country, their culture, their language, their neighborhood, their friends, their family, their siblings, their mom, their dad, maybe, everything, to come to a new country where they know no one. Why would people be doing that in the 21st century? Most often, people like to start over a lot. People like to start over a lot. There's this guy I saw. He, and this is a common thing. This is not just one guy. This is a lot of guys. A lot of guys, and this is a real low-life move with that a lot of men do. They get divorced. And I remember when my wife and I, around the time we turned, my wife's a year older than me, so we're basically the same age. When my wife and I turned 40, this is what I'm about to share with you, starting to slow down now that we're in our 50s. But when we turned 40, a lot of people we knew started getting divorced. And a lot of times when people get divorced in their 40s and in their 50s, okay, there's a reason why they do that a lot of times, okay? There's always a reason. But why do you think people get divorced in high numbers in their 40s and 50s? And I'll tell you how that relates to what, the shooting and the immigration issue. Well, the reason they do it is a couple reasons. One, in their 40s or 50s, even though they're getting old and older, they're not, they're not with the walker yet, right? They still look good and they got a chance. They're still active. And I see this with guys a lot. They get divorced in their 40s and 50s. They get remarried, and they get remarried to a younger woman. And when I was younger, I thought they just got married to a younger woman because they just wanted some hot young thing. And then when I saw what happening with people I know, I realized what it was. It's about 2 things. With men, I can't speak so much to the women. Maybe you ladies can. But with men, they get divorced in their 40s and 50s, and they remarry someone who's younger for 2 reasons. One, they want someone younger because they figure they can be in the power position more so, which may or may not be true. But then they start having children. And so when a man is in his 40s or 50s and he and his wife divorced, he gets remarried, why do you think he has children with that new wife? Why do you think that is? I'll tell you why. I'm not going to troll for calls on these things. I hate when people do that. I'm just going to tell you, and you're welcome to respond or not, but because it is Open MAGA Mike Friday, open phones on Friday. But this is what I've learned, just anecdotal observations on people I've known, okay, and that my wife and I both have known. They get divorced, and this is what I see. The reason guys in their 40s and 50s, they get divorced and they remarry and have kids is because they're trying to do a redo. They're trying to reinvent themselves and make up for all the mistakes they made with their original family and kids. They get remarried, have kids with this new wife, and then they're going to be perfect. I see that all the time, right? And what happens? There's still screw-ups because one thing I've learned as I've gotten older is people really don't change. Their characteristics just come out more so as they get older. And that's what it's like with these immigrants. They're in their country, and they come to America, many of them. Some of them come here just to do crime or retire off our social welfare system. But a lot of people from around the world come over here because their life is screwed up where they are because of themselves. And they come over here to reinvent themselves. It's totally new. It's almost like being in the witness protection program. They're in a new country that welcomes them, and they don't know everybody they screwed over or let down in their home country or whatever they were involved in. It's like they've been born again, and they're new in America, and they try to start over. And what do? They fall back into their old habits, just like the guy that remarries the younger woman and has kids. Whatever he was doing to his first family, he does with the second one and screws that up too. And we're letting too many people that are mentally ill, have criminal records, or are just unproductive losers at home where they're from come here and mess things up and take people's lives. I'm sorry, but that's it. This idea that you could just come here and set up a life is insane. And I'll say this before we break. To those people out there who say, well, your great-greats whatever came here and were immigrants, the type of immigrants that are coming here today are different than the immigrants that came here in centuries past, okay? The great waves of immigration into the United States happened when America was a developing nation. In many respects, we weren't even a first world nation by the standards of those times, okay? We were a developing nation who had a lot of space and not a lot of people, and we weren't built up yet, all right? And we needed people to come here. And we didn't have a social welfare network, so if you came here, you had to be productive or you didn't eat and you were homeless, okay? And that's just not the case anymore. So these are not the same types of immigrants that came to America in the past. Now, it is Friday, and Friday is open phones. We call it Open MAGA Mike Friday. And on Friday's show, you're welcome to call in about any and everything on your mind. The show preps up to you guys on Fridays, okay? Open MAGA Mike Friday. You don't have to be MAGA to call in. But the show prep is up to you and the listening audience on Friday's show. You don't even have to talk about the things Steve and I bring up, although I'd like you to. I think I brought up some good stuff so far, and I got a lot of topics that I am going to cover as the show goes on. If you're on hold, stay there. We'll go to the phone shortly. But our number is toll-free, 888-465-2631, 888-465-2631. 2631. I want to talk about Friendly Tire in Margate. You're going to find the lowest prices on new tires anywhere at Friendly Tire in Margate. He has all the name brands you know and love. I was talking to Mike the other day. One of our listeners came in and got 4 Pirellis. I love Pirelli. I'm a Firestone guy, but my fallback are Pirellis and then Michelin. Your favorite name brand tires, he'll get you really super low prices on them. He can get tires for any vehicle as well. And, of course, new tires out the door and on the road as low as $75 a tire. And remember, Friendly Mike doesn't charge you to balance, mount, or dispose of your tires. The price he quotes you over the phone is out the door and on the road. He has good used tires for as low as $35 out the door and on the road, and he does tire repairs. Give Friendly Mike a call right now. He'll give you a quote over the phone, 954-977-9445. 954-977-9445. That's 954-977-9445 for Friendly Tire in Margate. We'll be right back. Hey, Brian Craig here. You hear me talk with attorney Barry Siegel every day about how we can help you and your family. Now here's one of our listeners, Frances, sharing her experience of how attorney Barry Siegel made a difference in her life and took a weight off her shoulders.
I was really looking for something to help me secure my holdings, which is actually not a whole bunch of bank account, savings, and a house and a car for my 2 daughters. I was worried that if I had just a regular will, things would get tied up in probate, and that would take 2 years. So I heard on the radio about Barry Siegel, the attorney. I gave them a call, and immediately they were so kind. They were so nice. They assured me that they could help. I went over there, and they sat with me, and we went over everything. And I ended up with this wonderful trust for my two daughters. So if something does happen to me, things just turn over to them, and it'll make it so much easier for them. And it took a great load off of my mind as to how I would take care of my two daughters. I was very pleased with the attorney, Barry Siegel. Finding him helped me assure that my two daughters will be well taken care of in the event that I won't be here.
Give attorney Barry Siegel a call right now. Toll free 855-FLA-3782. 855-FLA-3782. And online, SiegelLawGroup.com. How would you like to make your child's Christmas unforgettable? You can do just that with Santa Voice. With Santa Voice, you generate a personal message from Santa. It's fast, fun, and magical. Just search Santa Voice in the App Store. That's Santa Voice in the App Store. We're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Brian, this is Hank from Hollywood. How you doing?
All right, Hank. What's on your mind?
I called Tom Laporta at Tom Laporta Roofing. He sent out Scott. Now, Scott is absolutely the best. Scott and Scott's crew are the absolute best. They gave me a great price. They did the job when they said they were going to do it. They finished the job when they said they were going to do it. The materials they used, absolutely the best. I want to thank Tom. I definitely want to thank Scott, and definitely want to thank Scott's crew. These people are number one, and I just want your listeners to know, Tom Laporta at Tom Laporta Roofing. If you need a new roof, call Tom at Tom Laporta Roofing. You're not going to go wrong. You're not going to be disappointed.
Do what Hank did. Call Tom Laporta at Laporta Roofing on his cell phone, 954-604-4602, 954-604-4602, and online, laportaroofing.com. All right, we got about 90 seconds till we're back. We're still in radio station break here. So if you're on hold, stand by, okay? I will go to the phones when we get back. And I've got more things to cover. I mean, I got a lot of stories to cover. But I hope you guys got my podcast last night with Pierce Morgan and Candace Owens in the thumbnail. Very good podcast. Covered a lot of good stuff. Just over a minute, and we will be back. I'm glad it's Friday. Although I don't take the weekend off, I could use the rest. I don't know. When I get off the air today, I don't have much to do, which is very unusual for Friday. Usually Fridays is like such a busy day for me, but this Friday thankfully is not. So, but when I don't have a busy day, I start freaking out. Like I'm like, what am I going to do? I might take the MAGA scooter out today. Who knows? I've been so busy. I haven't been riding the MAGA scooter. That's my Vespa. All right, 30 seconds, guys. If you're new, make sure you subscribe. This is where MAGA comes to talk. Here we go. Welcome back, everyone. It's the Steve Kane Show. My name is Brian Craig. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
My name is Scott. I'm calling from Kansas City.
Hey, Scott. What's up?
Well, I want to just bring up something that, from my experience, quickly, and bring up the question, why do colleges have so much power to bring in people into their system, bring money? My first encounter with this was, I'm going to give away my age, was just before the hostage crisis happened in the 1970s.
Oh my goodness!
And it happened, and there were tons
79
of Iranian students.
I was in the third grade when that happened. I remember 1979.
And I went to a thing. They had a poster up, and I went to a thing on a Saturday night, and it was Iranian students, their wives, and it was total anti-U.S. propaganda, also showing footage from the Iran-Iraq War. Mm-hmm. But I'm thinking to myself, why do you have these people, especially that no women were in classes, there was no arts, no literature, none of that, no law, of course, it didn't apply. everything was applied sciences plus geology and
Well,
architecture.
I'll give you an answer to that. Iran under the Shah was a CIA country, right? The CIA in the 50s put the Shah in power, and
Schwarzkopf did it.
Schwarzkopf. This was before Schwarzkopf, maybe when you were there. But
No. It was his dad.
Oh, Schwarzkopf's
His
dad.
was in the
Yeah.
CIA.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. General Schwarzkopf, Norman Schwarzkopf.
You
I did not know
look that up.
I'll look it up. But the reason there were so many Iranian students is because it was the CIA training. That was a CIA. I remember my cousin. He's since passed away, unfortunately, a few years ago. But he went to the Air Force Academy. He was a fighter pilot, and he went to the Air Force Academy in the 80s. I was a little kid. And I was shocked. The first time he came home, it was like for a family event, he was speaking Arabic. He was studying Arabic. And I'm like, Arabic? Why aren't you learning Russian? He's like, no, they want us all to learn Arabic now. And this is in the early 80s. You know what I mean? So there's been this deep state move towards with the Muslim world for a long time. But, I know people think, oh, you MAGA guys are bigots. You don't like immigrants. No. But to have completely unscreened people coming into the country is crazy by the millions.
Yeah. But then I ask you, and I think you've defended this, why is Trump bringing in all these Chinese people to go to the college?
He's not bringing in. He made a deal. These are not new students, okay? They renewed the visas of the Chinese students that were already here. He didn't give all these thousands or whatever the number is. I forgot what the number is. Those aren't new Chinese students. Those were students that were already here in the schools. Okay, and that's been misreported. And he made a deal with China for a number of things, including shutting down the fentanyl manufacturing. So, he didn't bring in a bunch of millions of Chinese new students. They were students that were already here.
Yeah, well,
and by the way, it's not 600,000. The number's 300,000. They counted them twice because they got their visa renewals. So the media are counting them twice as 600. It was 300,000, and they were already in the schools. These are not new. That's a lie.
Well, my bugger is the fentanyl thing. I mean, keep a little factoid. The former CEO of YouTube's son was killed by fentanyl at UC Berkeley. That was Miss Wojcicki. Anyhow, but in the early 1990s, they shut down the ephedrine that was manufactured in China, being sent to Mexico to be processed into crank.
Yeah.
That flooded the United States. It was everywhere. And now you're doing it again with fentanyl? Fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice.
Well, listen, remember in the 80s with crack, the reason that crack, there were these crazy, there were very intense sentencing guidelines for crack. And of course, the Democrats, oh, these are racist because black people do crack and white people do cocaine. No, the reason, crack was cheap. So people, and it was deadly. I don't know if it's still a big thing, crack, because I don't hear about it so much anymore. I think it's been replaced by, a lot of the things like fentanyl. But, there'll always be something cheap out there for drugs. But what's going on now with President Trump, with his border security and I think we've taken out 100 drug boats now, and, and all of this. It's going to be much more difficult for them. The importation of illegal drugs is going to dry up. It's going to be nearly impossible. There's always going to be something that slips through, but not like it's been. Not like it's been in our lifetime. It's going to be it's going to end up being homegrown stuff, and that's much easier to police.
Yeah, and I mean, there's always been something slipping into the country before you were born. I mean, the country was being besieged by from Afghanistan. I can't think of it. Whatever that drug was.
Every generation has like their fad drugs, right? Right now it's fentanyl. It used to be crack. There used to be the Bill Cosby with the Quaaludes. I don't even know what I mean. So there's always a fad drug at the time, and I've
there
been.
was bad acid in the early 1970s.
Yeah, so we're not going to rid the country of drugs. However, I'm not a drug user, obviously. I have one prescription medication that I take for allergies, okay, an allergy medication. But other than that, I don't even take prescriptions, and I avoid taking prescriptions. And, now marijuana, you can get the gummies through the mail, and all this stuff. And even if I was into that, the business that I'm in has, when I first got into broadcasting, I remember the first time I went to a party that had like broadcast. When I was young, I was much more sociable than, once you're married and have kids, you're not as sociable. I was very sociable when I was young, and all my friends were radio people, and there was a lot of local TV people in that circle. And you go to parties or events that were private, and it'd be radio and TV people, all local. Drugs everywhere. First time I went to a party when I was like 18, 19, and it was radio and TV people. I was there less than 60 seconds, and someone who's famous came up to me with a bunch of pills in their hands. You want drugs? Here, take a. I didn't do it, but one of the things I think that kept me clean is I've always worked so early in the morning. How could I be out drinking and drugging if I got to be on the air in the morning? You know what I mean? So people being busy keeps them off of drugs and alcohol.
Yeah, you say you had a bunch of drugs?
They had a whole handful of pills. Yeah. Someone famous.
That's called trail mix.
They told me to choose. It was like a buffet. I did take one of the pills and throw it away. I didn't take it. I didn't know what it was. And
don't do that.
No, but when you look at people that live a life of drug abuse, most of them are pretty idle. You don't find functioning drug addicts. I know there's a long history of functioning alcoholics. Like when I was a kid, my uncle was an executive in the 70s, and I remember going to his office, and he had the shag rug, and he had a bar in his office. So functioning alcoholic is different than a functioning drug addict. What I mean?
Mad Bum.
Exactly. Not that being a functioning alcoholic is really functional or good, but people being busy, I think, is the best way to keep people off drugs and shut down the importation of them into the country, which drives the prices up. President Trump has a major rehab operation going. Listen, I just looked at the clock. I got to take a break, but I appreciate the call. If you're on hold, stand by. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show. We'll be back after this. Refinement and utility converge at Norma.best, where advanced technology meets home, fashion, and lifestyle essentials. Explore gadgets that make life effortless, home furnishings that radiate style, and fashion accents that elevate your wardrobe. From cutting-edge electronics to smart home innovations and wellness must-haves, each item reflects thoughtful selection and quality. Simply navigate to Norma.best to uncover products that enrich your daily routines with style and confidence. With Norma.best, every find is a subtle celebration of sophistication. Norma.best, everyday elegance curated for you. Imagination meets play, learning, and style at Cressina.com. From educational toys and cozy kids clothing to baby essentials and interactive activity sets, each item is thoughtfully chosen to nurture curiosity and growth. Parenting guides, wellness tips, and clever gadgets round out a collection designed for families who savor quality and practicality. Visit CRESCENA.com to explore treasures that turn ordinary moments into meaningful experiences. Every product is a little spark of care, creativity, and elegance. Cressina.com. Inspire, explore, delight. Step into a realm where technology and elegance intersect. Victorina.com offers an inspired collection of home electronics, advanced gadgets, wellness tools, and curated furniture designed for those who appreciate sophistication. Let your morning shine with sleek coffee brewers, organize your workspace with refined office furniture, or unwind with luxurious massage devices. Discover Victorina.com. Just glide over to VICTORENA.com to explore products that quietly elevate every corner of your life. Every choice whispers refinement, blending practicality with a hint of brilliance. Victorina.com, where innovation meets everyday life. Bring life to every moment with Fancia.shop, where statement jewelry, chic outerwear, and cozy sweaters make every outfit unforgettable. Gadgets, Bluetooth speakers, and smart home electronics from Fancia.shop add convenience and excitement to daily routines. Explore pet essentials, kitchen tools, and fashion accessories that transform everyday spaces. While browsing, remember to visit FANCYA.shop for trending items, stylish gifts, and innovative finds that brighten every day. Fancia.shop. Style, innovation, and everyday joy. All right, we are in break on the radio for one more minute. If you're on hold, stand by. I'll go back to the phones. I got some other topics I want to bring up beyond the shooter. But remember, on Friday, it is open phones. You can call in about any and everything on your mind on Friday's show. Open Mega Mike Friday, and the number's pinned in the live stream. I'll go back to the phones when we get back, and then I've got to start going through my stories. But the show prep is up to you guys on Friday. Time is going by fast today. We're up an hour in already. 30 seconds. Yeah, if you're watching with the green wall behind me, if you go to my main stream, you get the green screen effect, right? You can see everything. So the link to my main stream is in the description of the video with the green wall behind me. Here we go. All right, we are back. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest-running radio show. It is Open Mega Mike Friday. The show prep is up to you all in the listening audience. So on Friday, you can call in about any and everything on your mind. I've just touched on a couple stories. I've got a lot to fit in here between now and the end of the program. Our number is toll-free 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. If you're on hold, stand by. I'll try to take these in the order in which they were received. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
It's Rabbi David.
Oh, hey, Rabbi. Doing well, Rabbi.
Okay, so Brown University, these people are either anti-Semitic or just stupid. I don't get what's going on there. I mean, did you, and I apologize if I didn't know, but I don't know if you reported on the fact that the mayor that keeps getting on the air there, that very effeminate mayor, is married to a man who is a pro-Palestinian, anti-Semitic, anti-Israel activist.
Really? No, I did not know that about the mayor. The mayor that looks like the mayor that looks like Rachel Maddow.
Yeah. Yes. He is married to a man who looks like a man. So he's the wifey in the couple.
Oh, his husband is masculine.
Yeah, his husband looks a little more masculine. So they look like a couple like that. Oh. And the husband is an activist. I mean, there are pictures of him holding up Palestinian anti-Israel banners, and he's very active in that. So it's just amazing that the press, there's no, with all that's going on with anti-Israel and anti-Semitic things going on in the world, that when they're sitting there scratching their heads and saying, gee, we don't know why he did this. Now, maybe this shooter, this killer, did it because he had a bad grade 20 years ago. Okay, that could be. But this is staring us in the face that anti-Semitism, number one, number two, and number three. Okay, and then you have this cover-up of not even discussing it and not even talking about it. And you can't even say if the person said Allah Akbar or whatever. And there's no disclosure that, oh, by the way, I just want you to know, even though my husband is an anti-Israel, anti-Semitic, pro-Palestinian activist, we're still looking into every possibility.
Yeah.
That's not said. And on top of it all,
no, that's news. I did not know about the mayor's husband. I will look into that. I did not know about that.
And when the president of the university was asked, hey, do you think maybe now you should put some cameras up inside around the school and around the area? She scratched her head and said, no, I don't think it would have helped. I don't think so.
Yeah, really, the MIT, if they had the cameras, the MIT professor would probably be alive today.
Yeah, right. Because they would have caught the guy before they killed him.
I want to talk to you about this. This anti-Semitic. This is Rabbi David on the line, so I want to finish up, Rabbi, because I got a couple questions I want to ask you.
One more thing. Yeah, one more thing. When they show the house of the professor who was killed, okay, they show the outside of the house. In the window of the house, it says "Stand with Israel." There's a big sign saying "Stand with Israel," and it's not mentioned. Oh, by the way, look at this sign here. Could that be that this person's a pro-Israel activist?
Well, he knew
I don't have a stand.
Hold on, Rabbi. I got to answer these other lines. I want to talk. You're being a rabbi, you've dealt with this more than me on a frontline basis your life. But it seemed to me a number of years ago we had pretty much in America eradicated anti-Semitism. I'm not saying it was gone, but it was few and far between. But now it's gone mainstream, and I don't know what we can do about it right now. I know the root causes of it. It's Obama, the education system, a lot of lunatics like Candace Owens. But what can we do other than identify it? What can we do to get this country back where it was, in touch with how wrong this anti-Semitism is? Because these anti-Semites, Rabbi, are scary. I'm talking about regular people, not just because they're killing people, right, which is happening. But when I talk to, you hear with some of the callers that are anti-Semites, they don't even realize it. Yeah. They don't even realize they hate Jews. And they'll say to me, well, I never said I hated Jews. How do you know I hate Jews? They don't even realize they're anti-Semitic. So what can we do as a country to wipe this filth out of our society?
Yeah. It used to be, and I can answer it, it used to be, or try to at least, that people would say, I'm not anti-Jewish, I'm just anti-Israel.
Now it's anti-Zionist.
Hang their hat on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, anti-Zionist. They used to be able to hang their hat on that. And you might recall, I did when I exposed Helen Thomas at the White House,
yes,
the journalist, and she said the Jews should go back to Germany. It was kind of a watershed moment when you say the Jews should leave Israel and go back to Germany. That you're not saying they should go back to Tel Aviv or they should go back to, Netanya, some other city.
Yeah.
They said, river to the sea. She was basically saying river to the sea. So that was a moment that broke down that, hey, if you're saying you're anti-Israel, you're anti-Jewish. And that's what's happening with the river to the sea thing now, that they're being very blatant and you can't say anymore, I'm just anti-Israel, I'm anti. So number one, if you're anti-Israel, you're anti-Jewish. Sorry, that we got it. So that's number one. So how do you fight it? You could teach and teach and teach, but if someone's a scoundrel and a thug and whatever, you can teach them all you want. But this is the way they were raised. This is the way they.
But Rabbi,
you're been raised.
You're Orthodox, so I don't know, and how much of your interactions are outside of the Jewish community, right? But this anti-Semitism in this country is it's becoming mainstream people now, and it is frightening.
I still think there, I believe there are very good Christians and very good people who are not Jewish that love the Jewish people.
Of course.
And there's a lot of them. Okay. And I think that every Jew that survived in the Holocaust was because the person who was not Jewish helped them. Okay. That's just been the way of the world. So I think as a religious person, I first go towards the religion. I first say every Jew should become a better Jew. And I think every Christian should become a better Christian. Okay. Whatever you do in your belief, whether with actions, with thoughts, with churches, with whatever it is, we should all become more religious.
Well, let me tell you, okay, there's also, I got in big trouble. I got in big trouble on the air once for something I said that was perceived as anti-Semitic. This is when I was a young man, okay? This is the first time I got in. What is that famous deli in Miami Beach that Meyer Lansky used to go to? I can't remember the name of. Very famous.
It was I don't even know if it was a kosher deli, but it was on like Collins or around there.
Oh yeah, I can't remember the name of it. It was very famous, and it's a famous deli in Miami Beach, and Meyer Lansky, the mobster, used to go there. Legend, so goes the legend, so it's famous. And I went there. I was about 22 years old, and they did something that I'd never seen. And I talked about this on the air. I didn't talk about it because it was a deli, but they checked our receipts. Everybody had to get the receipt checked before they left the restaurant. So obviously a lot of people in Miami Beach were skipping out on paying. And I'd never had this happen before. And I talked about it on the air. And I got to tell you, not only did I get in trouble, the ADL was on my tail for it. And like they were calling me in. I was like, it could have been a steakhouse. It could have been a, you know what I mean? It could have been a taco joint. It just so happened it was this place. I'd never seen it before. I saw it on the air. And I think a lot of it is, a lot of the organizations like the ADL have been compromised by the poison known as liberalism. And they're a party to the anti-Semites. And there's no one out there in the past few years, there's not an organization that would clamp down on anti-Semitism. It's allowed now, right? There's no leading Jewish organization or voice. I didn't see anyone stand up against Mamdani. Hell, the ADL members in New York probably voted for Mamdani.
Yeah, ADL's been very watered down, very liberal.
Yeah.
And, of course they'll come out against the Australian shooting. Congratulations. But
whoop-de-doo.
Where we need them. Yeah. They really are. You're very correct that these organizations have been watered down. The liberalism is rampant in every which way, and it's affecting the way we.
Yeah, but Rabbi, I have never. Now, I had people tell me, I knew when I was young, I had people tell me that grew up in South Florida that in the 40s and 50s, Jews were segregated like blacks and weren't even allowed on some beaches in Florida, in Miami. And I mean, I just can't believe, the things. So I know anti-Semitism has always been there, okay? Especially among Democrats. Democrats have always hated Jews. But what's going on now has moved to a level, I don't say this lightly, what's going on in this country now with anti-Semitism is how the Nazis rose to power and the Holocaust happened. And it's going on right now in this country. I see it, and it's scary to me. And I'm not a Jew, and it's scary too. I can only imagine. I know Jews that are afraid.
Right. And liberal Jews are not doing anything because God forbid it should look like pro-Trump. Okay.
Yes.
That if you're speaking against anti-Semitism, all of a sudden, what are you, pro-Trump? So they're quiet and staying away. This Trump derangement syndrome has hindered, people, even Jews standing up for it because they're so liberal.
Yeah.
But what it is also. Everyone, the world loves the Jews when there's a Holocaust, when they're shot up, when they're hurt. But when they fight back, all of a sudden, it's like, we don't like it. People don't like it.
Well, I think what's responsible for the rise of anti-Semitism is the mainstream news media and the universities have been taken over by Muslims. There's a lot of Muslims on. There's a girl on Fox they just gave a show to. I can't remember her name. She's Muslim. She's been with Fox for a while.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? And I
know exactly. I heard her name and I was like, wow, yeah.
Yeah, she's been there for a while as a reporter, like a congressional reporter. Now they gave her a show. She's Muslim. And I didn't know any Muslims before 9/11, really. And there's been such a major Muslim infiltration of the media and of the education system at all levels. And this is just how that people in that world think. And that's what's happened.
Listen, it's an old story. Europe, we know what Europe is done. Europe is gone. Okay, Europe is over. We know it, and it's because of Germany took in all these Turkish Muslims, and they, we'll take them in, and boom, look what happened there. Then France, Okay, England, forget England, London. Okay, and why do you think it won't happen here? I mean, why would one think?
You know, I got to tell you, Rabbi,
I
know this is, you probably don't want to do this, but Candace Owens, a couple of days ago, did the most anti-Semitic opening I've ever seen of anything in this country in the modern era. I don't even know how to describe it, but go and watch. When she did a show about 2 days ago, Candace Owens, and it was after her meeting with Erica Kirk. And go and watch the beginning, her open, and the things she said. I've never heard, the first 10 or 15 minutes, her whole intro was just anti-Semitic phrase after phrase. I've never seen anything like it. And, you know, when I was starting out in broadcasting, I told you this story about the deli, which I wasn't even talking about Jews. It was anti-Semitism, or something that was perceived as anti-Semitism, was stomped out immediately. Now no one blinks, and that's part of the problem too. I want you, only because you're a rabbi, and I know you know people, and you're an influential. You're not just a regular rabbi calling me from Tamarack. You're a connected guy, and I think it's important for you to see what she did and what she said in the beginning. It was sick, and she doesn't even know it.
I think I mentioned it, and I have to be careful how I mention it. I in the past have known her. I have her personal cell.
Mm-hmm.
I've wondered about calling her, but you know, what's the goal? What do I say? You know what I'm saying? I don't need to be a target now. You know, it's like that's what for what purpose? You know.
Yeah, but
Erica tried to do it.
But you know what? You have a lot of influence inside the Jewish community. I mean, that your Helen Thomas story. People look up Helen Thomas and Rabbi David online. You'll be blown by who this guy is. The way she talked, she needs therapy. She really needs therapy. Who was it that took the Barstool Sports guy? Who did he take to the camps? Yeah. He took somebody to the camps. Who was it? I can't remember who it was. This year he did it. You know, she really
right.
She needs an intervention.
Yeah.
And she is the leading spreader of anti-Semitism in this country today, and she's too insane or stupid to know it. All right.
You know, it's interesting because I am actually planning a trip to go to Warsaw and go to the concentration camp.
I couldn't go. I couldn't do that. I couldn't do it.
I'm just saying maybe it's an opportunity for me to. That's the reason to call and say, hey, maybe you want to join me on that trip.
Don't start with this is Rabbi David. Here's Rabbi. You'll set. Don't say.
No, but she knows who I am. I'm not cold call.
Yeah, I know. But please look at the beginning of the show and the way she was talking, and you know, because there needs to be an intervention, and you're the kind of person that can do it. Yeah.
Well, look at Tucker Carlson.
Oh,
I mean, are these people on the payroll?
That's in his bones. That's in his bones.
I always say 90% of all answers can be answered with money. Maybe this is one of them. Maybe these guys are just being payrolled. That's what like the college campuses.
There's a lot of money in anti-Semitism today. Listen, Rabbi, I got to run. I'm very late for the break. All right, take care. Take care.
Thanks for the time and good luck. Thank you.
Yeah. And Rabbi David's really a connected guy. So I told him that about Candace Owens because I know that he has the ability to do something. Like wouldn't that be amazing if Rabbi David took Candace Owens to the camps? We'll be right back. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
My name is Sandra. I'm calling from Delray Beach. The Barry Siegel Law Group did such wonderful work for me, and I was very particular. I'm a professional myself, and I went to about 3 or 4 attorneys prior. They wanted to do what they wanted to do. They didn't want to add anything extra, but Barry tailored it to my needs. And it's not only the trust. There's so many other end-of-life documents, the living will, the will, and I tailored each one one of them to my liking, and they were wonderful and always, always polite. Never showed any aggravation or because I contacted them many times. Always polite. And not only that, when you finish your documents and you leave this world, your beneficiaries could go there and they'll explain everything to them, which is a big deal because a lot of these beneficiaries or heirs, they're not cognizant of what to do. I just wanted to let you know that the Siegel Group is above and beyond any other attorney that I have ever contacted. Plus, they give you a big portfolio at the end with a leather-bound documents. It's beautiful.
Give the Siegel Law Group a call, 855-FLA-3782, 855-FLA-3782, and online, siegellawgroup.com.
This is Mark Laporta, son of Tom Laporta and proud second-generation owner of Laporta Roofing. As a military veteran who served in the Army after 9/11, I've brought the same dedication and discipline to our family business. At Laporta Roofing, we've been serving our community for nearly 4 decades, and we're committed to continuing that legacy of excellence. Our team specializes in all types of roofing systems, from shingles to tile, slate, metal, and flat roofs. We're the go-to experts for single-family homes, HOA communities, and condo associations. What sets us apart is our unwavering commitment to customer satisfaction. I've personally implemented systems to ensure you receive the best in customer service and workmanship. Don't miss out on our limited time offer for a free roof inspection. Call us now at 954-604-4602 or visit us at laportaroofing.com. Trust the experts who have been protecting homes like yours for generations. Again, that number is 954-604-4602.
All right, we're a little more than a minute away from being back on the air, so I'll take the calls after the break. If you're on hold, stand by. Let's see, yeah, just over a minute, and we'll be back. That would be amazing if Rabbi David connected to Candace Owens and woke her up. If anybody can do it, he could do it. It's really scary. It's not funny. A lot of the people that call me and the things that they say, they don't even understand the things they're saying. They just don't. If any of you saw the open of Candace Owens' show after the one where she was talking about her meeting with Erica Kirk, I've never heard anything like it. It was crazy. I don't know, does she always open her show with that? Is that like her normal thing? All right, less than a minute. If you're on hold, stand by. All right, we're back. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Jeff from Maine, Brian. Merry Christmas.
Hey, Jeff. How you been?
Hey, all right. Having some health issues again.
Oh.
I've been diagnosed with stenosis of the spine and my cervical, so I'm having some pain issues again, but I'm getting good treatment.
Good.
But, Brian, that Rabbi David was spot on. He is a wonderful speaker, and you were so right about him talking with Candace Owens. I don't believe she's so far gone that she couldn't be useful. She needs to go back to where she was when she was with Charlie Kirk.
Yeah.
And she was a wonderful asset to Turning Point USA. But having said that, some of the things she's saying is so far off, and especially about Israel. But when during the TPUSA show last night, when I was watching it, there were some people that I forgot who was it called her retarded, and someone else spoke ill of her. Well,
Bill, that was Ben Shapiro said that about Candace.
Yeah, Ben Shapiro. Thank you, Brian. What I'm saying, that's not the way to win her back over. But at the same time, Rabbi David said. You said that he would be one that if he could talk to her, he is so well spoken.
You know what I think happened to Candace Owens? I am sure that I've talked about this on the air, or at least on my podcast.
I can tell you what you're going to say.
What?
she tried to get too big for her own britches, getting off on her own. She went down a road she didn't realize she was on. That's how I look at it.
I want to say it's a little more specific, okay? I think she had major problems at the Daily Wire with Ben Shapiro and a few others, and they're Jews, and she channeled that anger into anti-Semitism. I really do think that was where things went for. Listen, I am as strong of a supporter of Israel that I could possibly be. I'm a strong supporter of Israel. I'm not a Jew, by the way. People, I guess I'm one of those Christian Zionists. They're always ragging. But Ben, I was talking to a Jewish friend of mine, and I think the biggest cause of anti-Semitism in this country are two things: Mark Levin and Ben Shapiro. And I'm going to tell you what I mean by that. But after the top of the hour break, because I don't want to have to interrupt. But we haven't talked in a while, so I'll let you finish. But after the break, I'll tell you what I'm talking about with Shapiro and Mark Levin. But anyway,
well, some of the best speakers last night I think it was Mike Knowles.
Michael Knowles.
I think he was really good. But Tucker knocked it out of the park, talking about Christianity and bringing it into politics in the right way. And he had some really marvelous points, and I believe that he was saying we need to stop attacking each other and agree to disagree on some things, but America first. What is wrong with that? And he nailed it out of the park, explaining why it doesn't matter where you come from. If you're on the conservative side, we are for America first. And that goes back to the Constitution and our God-given constitutionally backed rights.
Obviously,
and Donald make America great again.
And President Trump is America first, but America first does not mean to be an isolationist and not have relations with other countries.
Exactly.
And Marjorie Taylor Greene and a few other former MAGA people, that's their standard, that if you have any relationship with other countries, you're not being America first. That's not the case.
Correct, and he did bring that up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, Tucker Carlson, I'm not a big fan of his lately. I just am not. I'm sorry.
Yeah, there's some things that it just doesn't make any sense. And I understand completely.
And
what
I
you're
do
saying.
think he's CIA. I think he's a CIA guy. His dad was a lifelong CIA guy. I believe he was.
I did not know that.
Tucker Carlson's dad? Oh, lifelong CIA. His dad. Oh, yeah. This is well known. Even Tucker has talked about it with Nick Fuentes. When he interviewed Nick Fuentes, Tucker Carlson even admitted it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Tucker Carlson's dad's CIA. All right, listen, I got to, he was. He's no longer with us. I got to run, Jeff. It's good to hear from you.
Brian, I want to wish you and Kathy and your family a Merry Christmas. God bless everyone.
Absolutely. All right, we'll take our break for the top of the hour. It's The Steve Kane Show. I'm Brian Craig. Back after this. I'll share about the Shapiro, Mark Levin thing, about the leading cause of anti-Semitism in the country. Strong statement, and I'll tell you what I mean by that when we get back. Because it's... when I first moved to Florida, it was, as I said, in the early 80s, 81, 82. And I've been coming to Florida when I was even younger. I used to come to Florida every summer in the late 70s until I moved here. But my parents were divorced. My mom and I lived in Ohio, and my dad lived in Florida with my grandparents lived in Florida too. So every summer I'd come to Florida. And in the 70s and in the early 80s, the guys that were in their 30s and 40s all grew, and certainly older, they all grew up during segregation. And the racism in Florida was so hardcore in the 70s and 80s. I mean, it was bad. It was bad, and they didn't even know it, and it was scary to me the way that people talked and treated black people, because that generation was that old Democrat Jim Crow era generation, And if you went to a department store or a grocery store or a retail store and a black family came in, they would be followed to make sure they didn't shoplift by the racist store managers or owners. It was crazy, you know? And I remember there were black people couldn't go in certain places at night. You know, there were all kinds of craziness going on, and that was eradicated, right? It's not that way anymore for a lot of reasons. But what I'm seeing with anti-Semitism is it's growing, and it's just as scary to me as that old racism I used to see from that Jim Crow generation. You know, you're from the North, and you come to the South during that era. It was a whole nother. Place. We got 2 minutes, and we'll be back. If it is Open MAGA Mike Friday, you can call in about any and everything on your mind on Friday's show. It's completely open phones. You don't even have to talk about anything that we bring up, okay? And the number is toll-free no matter where you're watching. It is pinned in the live chat, 888-465-2631, 888-465-2631. But I'm going to talk about Shapiro and Levin just to end up on that, and then I'll get into some more stuff as the show goes on. We've got just over a minute, and we'll be back. My phone is just blowing up here. Okay. Okay, we've got 1 minute, and we'll be back. Thirty seconds. If you're on hold, stand by. Here we go. All right, the 7 o'clock hour has begun. My name is Brian Craig. If you're on hold, stand by. This is the Steve Kane Radio Show, Florida's longest running radio show on the radio since 1977, celebrating 49 years on the radio. Okay, I want to finish up with our conversation we were having, and it fits into this Turning Point event that's going on this weekend. And I made a comment that Ben Shapiro and Mark Levin are the leading causes of anti-Semitism today, and I know that's a strong statement, and I'll tell you what I mean by it in a moment. But I was watching a lot of the battling going on between conservatives at Turning Point. Turning Point USA is not a place to go after each other. It's a place of unity. Turning Point USA, CPAC's the similar thing. The Turning Point USA conferences are like the conservative Comic-Con, where we all come together, like-minded MAGA conservatives, and unify together, not go there and rip one another, okay? So I'm not too crazy about what I saw last night from some of the speakers. But I want to explain myself with Ben Shapiro and Mark Levin. I want to start with Ben Shapiro and then Mark Levin. And I do this because I want people to understand I agree with Mark Levin and Ben Shapiro 100% on Israel. I support Israel hardcore. But I don't like either of them personally. And Ben Shapiro is a very poor spokesperson for Israel and Israeli causes. Now, he may be a good spokesperson in Jewish circles, but outside of Jewish circles, he's not a likable guy. One, he has a long history of being a never-Trumper. I remember during the Stormy Daniels era, he said on his show that, of course, he had sex with her and all this stuff, okay? So MAGA doesn't like him, but he is not a likable personality. And sometimes, people take their personal dislike of Ben Shapiro, and then all of a sudden they manifest that towards Jews. I think that's a big part, not the only factor, but a major factor in what happened to Candace Owens, okay? And Ben Shapiro is not a good spokesperson outside of the Jewish world to promote Israel or fight anti-Semitism because he's not likable. But Mark Levin is the second. Now, I was talking about something Mark Levin did at the Hanukkah celebration with the president the other night, but there was one part of it I didn't talk about because I didn't want to get sidelined on it. But remember the other night when Mark Levin did something way over the line and he grabbed onto President Trump, put his arm around him on the thing, pulled him into him, that big power move I was talking about? I'm not going to go over that. I talked about that at length the other day. It was very inappropriate, and he was showing off, and I didn't like it. But then Mark Levin said, let me see if I can pull that up. I was not going to talk about it, and it's way back. But Mark Levin, it's way back on my Twitter feed, so I'm going to scroll through and see if I can find it real quick. But Mark Levin said something when he was inappropriately touching President Trump that was a stupid thing to say. And I know, like me, maybe even more so than me, because he's a Jew, that Mark Levin wants this anti-Semitism that's going on in this country to be stopped. And what he said when he was inappropriately touching the president was not a smart thing to say. And I want to play it because I want you to hear it in his words. Let me see here. I'm almost to it. It's on everything I talk about in all my show prep. I post to my X, Brian Craig Show on X. So if you follow me on X, you get all my show prep. So sometimes when I don't replay audio sound bites on another day, so I don't have it queued up to go. Let's see here. I know I got it somewhere. Hold on. Well, okay, here it is. Okay, I got the story on it, and then if you're on hold, stand by, and I will play this. I want you to hear what. I hate when that happens. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Listen to Levin. Listen to what Levin says here. I want you to listen to this.
And these people do like Israel. Hold on.
Now, this is when he's inappropriately touching the president, Mark Levin. And then what Mark Levin says was a stupid thing to say.
And he loves Israel, too.
Not that part.
2 seconds. 6 years ago, I was up here. And I said, this is our first Jewish president.
Right there. Our first Jewish president. These anti-Semites, you've heard them call me many times. These anti-Semites are running around saying that Donald Trump is controlled by the Jews, which of course is an absurd anti-Semitic thing to say. And then you have this idiot, self-important, self-inflating balloon of egomania that is, I've never seen something. He goes up, puts his arm around the president, pulls him into him. It looked to me as if Trump tried to pull away, and he pulled him in closer, which was a power move, showing off to his friends and whoever else and his backers. And then he says, this is the first Jewish president. Which is something that these see, look, he's controlled. Look, they say he's Jewish president. He's controlled by the Jew. Look at Levin. And Mark Levin would not see what I'm sharing with you in this light at all. But what he did, the way that he behaved, you've got to think that is inappropriate, putting his arm around the president and pulling him in like that. But saying he's the first Jewish president? Can't you see how these anti-Semites would grab onto that? See, look, he said it. And President Trump didn't correct him. Is Mark Levin helping Israel or hurting Israel with that behavior the other night? I say hurting. Is he helping eradicate this poison of anti-Semitism or helping it spread and feeding it? I would say he's helping it spread and feeding it by this stupid move. He should know better. He's a smart guy. He should know better. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Vicky from Virginia.
Hey, Vicky, what's on your mind?
Listen, Brian, I got just a couple of things that I want to mention here. I want to go back to the caller that called yesterday who was talking about the gas price and see the lower, the gas price being low, and also about the plaques, the presidential plaques that Trump was being petty, putting these information plaques on under the president's portrait.
Yep.
Now, what she needs to understand is that a lot of these blue states, even though the gas is going down, you might not see it in a lot of these blue states because the governors are the ones that are adding taxes to these things, so you actually don't see it.
That's
what
correct.
She needs to, when she's talking about it, that's what she needs to say.
Mm-hmm.
And about the plaques, now, I think that is more to educate people that go on these tours, especially some of the adults and the young kids, that some of these presidents' failures, the things that they did that created situations within the country.
Yeah.
And these kids are not being educated in school to inform them of these things. So I think it's a great thing. Look at the portrait, and you read how successful or unsuccessful this president was while he was in office. I agree with it. I like it.
Yeah, the plaques that President Trump put under the president, they're kind of funny, and he's trolling him, but I don't care. Look, they shot him. They tried to put him in prison. So what, is he supposed to respect these people? Give me a break. I don't care what the president says on the plaques.
I think it is, because when you read it, it is nothing defamatory. I think it's something that is factual.
Yeah, it's true.
They did this. It's factual. It's not, it may be trolling a little bit, but it's factual.
Michelle Obama doesn't even like Barack Obama. So Michelle Obama does not even like Barack Obama. So Trump's supposed to like him. He's the one that started the whole lawfare harassment against him.
Yeah. And let me just do one last point before I leave on this Candace Owens.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people are talking about Candace Owens and so forth. Candace Owens is a villain in herself. But the big villain on that is her husband. Her husband is the big villain. He's the one that is manipulating everything behind the scene, manipulating her too. Because he wants to be Turning Point CEO. And he is manipulating her. Do you know who his mentor was?
Who's that?
Andrew Tate.
Candace Owens' husband?
That was Andrew Tate was Candace Owens' mentor. He mentioned it. He did an interview. I don't know if you can find it or not. He did a sat-down interview, and he mentioned him. He was his mentor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm no fan of Andrew Tate. A lot of conservatives like to talk about Andrew Tate. It's clout chasing because he's like famous, and and a lot of people pay attention, and so they talk about Andrew. I don't understand what their big attraction is to Andrew Tate. I don't see anything positive about Andrew Tate. Nothing.
Yeah, he's very brass.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't.
What does he have to offer? I mean, please, nothing but problems.
Yeah.
Nothing. Well, Candace Owens' husband, he's a very strange guy. I've seen him a few times. He's a very weird guy, and I don't know if he's starstruck over her and a groupie. I don't know what the deal is with those two.
No, he married a fangirl, because if you listen to the interview, what he said when he met her, 14 days, he was mesmerized by the way that I think when she was doing a Turning Point event, she stood up there and she talked in a certain way or something. So he was kind of a fanboy.
Well, what she's lacking, see, there's one thing she's lacking, is she doesn't have anyone in her circle to talk her down from doing stupid things. Right? And, everybody needs someone who can talk to them honestly.
Right.
My wife keeps me in check. There's and Steve and I, we talk off the air about, you shouldn't do that or this or that. We keep each other in check. You need to have someone who can talk. That's not some fan that is like a groupie who's telling you what you want to hear. You need someone who's going to give you honest feedback. She doesn't, and what she has are people telling her what she's doing is spectacular in her circle.
What is primarily her husband, because like I said, he is the villain. He doesn't want to come out and
I was telling Rabbi David in the last hour to watch the opening monologue that Candace Owens did on her show a couple days ago. It was the one when she was the first time she talked about the Erica Kirk meeting after it happened. I've never heard talk like that before. Never heard anyone say things like that about Jews and Israel in an open that she thought was funny. It was nuts. It was like, I know she's black, okay? But that's kind of what I imagined the way they talked at the Klan meetings about Jews. It was that bad. It was crazy. Well, listen, I got to run, but I appreciate the call, all right? We're less than a week away from Christmas. And, December is the deadliest month of the year, according to the American Heart Association, when it comes to heart attacks, with Christmas and New Year's Day being the deadliest day. That's not good. But you know what? I'm going to give you the number in a few minutes to Life Imaging FLA. They have locations in Broward, Dade, and Palm Beach County. Call them up and take advantage of their free heart scan with a few minimum requirements. Okay? And that is valued at $699. When you're over there, make sure you ask about their cancer screening and virtual colonoscopy and get checked out. Okay? And find out if you've got an issue. Life Imaging FLA, they're all about proactive healthcare. They're saving lives every day by finding out things about people's heart, about cancer, before they have any symptoms, so you can take care of it. I've seen so many people talking about how they had no symptoms, life was great. One, even a cardiologist, they go over to Life Imaging FLA, they have the heart scan, they find out they've got over 80% blockage. You don't want to find out when you drop dead. You want to find out before, so you can go to your doctor and take care of it. From your cell phone, dial pound 250 and say free heart scan. You'll be connected in seconds. That's pound 250, say free heart scan. Pound 250, say free heart scan. You'll be connected in seconds. My name is Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show. We'll be right back. All right. I've got so much to cover. If you're on hold, stand by. We'll be back in less than a minute. 45 seconds. We'll be back. I got a few stories I want to go through, but if you're on hold, stand by. And if you want to call in, the number is pinned in the live chat, okay? And again, it is open phones today. Oh my goodness, we're beyond the halfway point. We're back. It's the Steve Kane Show. My name is Brian Craig, and if you're on hold, don't go anywhere. Stand by. I've got a few stories I want to go through here, and then we'll go back to the phones in a bit. It is Open MAGA Mike Friday. Open phones on Friday. Any and everything on your mind is fair game on Friday's show. The number is toll-free, 888-465-2631. By the way, did you see yesterday President Trump signed an executive order making Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, and the day after Christmas national holidays? Isn't that great? Oh my goodness. It should have been that way a long time ago. So that's great. And I was a little curious about one part of it. Do you know what the day it's Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, and the day after Christmas are now national holidays. It used to be just Christmas. And I haven't seen anybody discuss this part of it. If you've seen someone talk about it, let me know. I'm surprised no one's griped about this. You know what the day after Christmas is? You know what it is? It's the first day of that made-up holiday called Kwanzaa. So does that wipe out Kwanzaa, or does it make Kwanzaa at least the first day of it a national holiday too? But that's a great thing the president did. Okay, now President Trump's economic policies are now starting to take effect. We're getting the first numbers out, and inflation is really low. And things are going so well in the economy, even CNN's reporting. But they had CNN yesterday. One of their economists they had on, he said something on CNN. Listen to this.
I mean, I was surprised. It was a better number than anyone was expecting.
Now, this guy here, I'm going to share with you what he said and talk about it for a moment. But these are the type, he's an economist, right? They bring him on CNN. And he's the type of economist that has advised past presidents. He is a professor of economics at Harvard. He's not an economist. He's a guy that went to school, never left, got the PhD, and started teaching college. Probably was teaching college before he got the PhD. President Trump's a real economist. He's got the business degree from a top business school, and he's been out there working it and knows what it is. These egghead college professors, they're not economists. I mean, it's like would you go to a doctor who never practiced and just went to school, they went to medical school, and then they just became a teacher? Would you trust them to do surgery on you? I don't think so. But anyway, what he says is interesting. Listen.
I mean, I was surprised. It was a better number than anyone was expecting.
Yeah, because you're a professor.
Look, inflation's been very high. It's stayed high. It has not been coming down. But, people were expecting it to be above 3%. It was well below 3%. I mean, I think the president will take this as good news. The investors will think that interest rates will get cut more. So, it was a positive news. There's no other way to spin it.
Absolutely. The reason I played this at the end, what he said, you heard he said at the end?
That interest rates will get cut more. So, it was a positive news. There's no other way to spin it.
There's no other way to spin it. Why would he say that? You know why? Because they usually spin things to their agenda. And the economy is doing so well under President Trump's leadership, even this liberal Harvard professor, he can't spin it in a negative way. Now, there's another big story. So much is going on. Here we are, less than a week away from Christmas, and each day has a minimum of 2 news cycles still. The TikTok deal is finally going through. It's being sold by China to a whole bunch of different companies. It's going to become a U.S. company now. It's too late, okay? And I'm so behind on the breaks. I want to apologize to you for the short segment. I went long. in a couple of previous segments. So I'm going to take this break on time at the bottom of the hour, and I'll come back so we'll be on time for the rest of the show. Because if I don't get us back on schedule, we're going to have a traffic jam till 9 a.m., and I don't want to do that. So I'll talk about the problem with this TikTok deal when we get back, and it's a pretty big deal, and a whole bunch more. Those of you on hold, stand by. We'll also take your calls. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest-running radio show. My name is Brian Craig. Our number, 888-465-2631. We'll be back after this. We're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Brian, this is Hank from Hollywood. How you doing?
All right, Hank. What's on your mind?
I called Tom Laporta at Tom Laporta Roofing. He sent out Scott. Now, Scott is absolutely the best. Scott and Scott's crew are the absolute best. They gave me a great price. They did the job when they said they were going to do it. They finished the job when they said they were going to do it. The materials they used, absolutely the best. I want to thank Tom. I definitely want to thank Scott, and definitely want to thank Scott's crew. These people are number one, and I just want your listeners to know, Tom Laporta at Tom Laporta Roofing. If you need a new roof, call Tom at Tom Laporta Roofing. You're not going to go wrong. You're not going to be disappointed.
Do what Hank did. Call Tom Laporta at Laporta Roofing on his cell phone, 954-604-4602, 954-604-4602, and online, laportaroofing.com. This past year has been one of the hardest in MyPillow's history. It's because of you they're making it through the year. They want to thank you for your continued support by passing on some Christmas specials to our listeners. Get the Children's Bible Story Pillow, the 5-pack, for just $29.98. Get the My Slippers with a free bottle of leather protectant spray for $39.98. Blankets, comforters, and duvets for as low as $25. And a blowout sale on the standard MyPillows for just $14.98. So go to MyPillow.com or call 1-800-716-4879 and use the promo code KANE to take advantage of these wholesale prices, including the standard size MyPillow, originally $49.98, now just $14.98. Queens, $18.99. Kings, only $1 more. MyPillow products come with a 10-year warranty, but MyPillow has just announced they're extending their 60-day money-back guarantee. That's right. Orders placed between now and December 25th will have their 60-day money-back guarantee extended through March 1st, 2026. So go to MyPillow.com, use our promo code KANE at checkout, KANE, or call 1-800-716-4879. Promo code KANE for huge savings on your Christmas shopping.
This is George Colony. I'm in the real estate business in Fort Lauderdale, Florida with Kai's Real Estate. I've been in business for 6 decades. People often ask me, what's the right time to buy or sell real estate? To tell you the truth, it's always the right time. You just need to have the right advice from the right advisor. You could call me anytime because I answer my phone on the first ring. My number is 954-801-7320. That's my personal cell phone number. And I answer it on the first ring every time. Please give me a call. I'm happy to answer any question that you have. My cell phone number is 954-801-7320.
All right, we have a minute until we're back. We're still in radio break, so I'll get back. When we get back, I'll get into all this stuff. All right, we're back. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show. Now, before we get back to the TikTok deal has gone through with President Trump. It's going through. We'll talk about that in a moment. But first, I want to talk about Coastal Weight Loss Secret. It's so amazing. You know, I am buying shirts now that are so much smaller than I've bought in years. And it's because I've lost all this weight and I have a flat stomach now. It's so nice, isn't it? It's nice. I really enjoy it. I need to buy some more pants because, I'm wearing belts that are pretty tight and most of my pants are loose on me, but I kind of like the loose pants because it reminds me as I'm pulling them up how much weight I've lost. It's absolutely amazing. And this year, you got that New Year's resolution to lose weight. Make sure that you stick with it this year, and it'll be easy because losing weight with Coastal Weight Loss Secret is effortless. Believe me, if it involved all that hard work and starving yourself and eating terrible foods you don't like and all of that and exercising all the time, I would not have been successful because I didn't have to do any of that. Not only did I easily lose the weight, I lost about 1 pound a day. Now, if I would have exercised, I would have lost more faster. Yeah, I'd have lost the weight a little faster, but about 1 pound a day without exercise, that was enough for me. But the great benefit is I haven't gained back a single ounce after I reached really what was beyond my goal weight. I've lost much more than my goal weight. Is because there wasn't those big lifestyle changes. And since I didn't have any big lifestyle changes, maintaining the weight loss has been so easy. Coastal Weight Loss Secret can help you no matter where you're located. Give them a call and schedule your no-charge consultation. 561-247-6300. 561-247-6300. That's 561-247-6300. And online, coastalweightlossSecret.com. All right. So the TikTok deal, though, TikTok is a poison. Okay, TikTok is spyware, and the TikTok algorithm, and I'm unclear if this sale involves the algorithm, but what TikTok really is spyware, and TikTok became very popular with young people. I talked about how they did it. As we talk about like Candace Owens and things, they're, all these people, they're chasing clicks and views. And TikTok was a Chinese weapon used against this country. And they did it by putting young people on there into a position where they were nobodies, people that they don't even have friends. They get outside of their house, and all of a sudden they have 5 million followers on TikTok. And it became a drug to young people. So they all were using it to get famous, to get internet famous. And it was spyware, not just stealing everything off of their phone, anything, any device. Like say you had a child or a grandchild in your house and they had TikTok and they were connected to your Wi-Fi, okay? TikTok stole all the data off your phone too. Even if you didn't have it on your phone, with the same Wi-Fi connection, they got all of your data. They have collected everyone's data in the country already. China doesn't need TikTok anymore. They got what they were. Remember a few years ago, around Christmas time, I don't know, 5 or so years ago, it was nonstop ads for one of the DNA testing places. I'm one of the few people I know that never did it. I've never gotten the DNA testing. And they were offering it cheap. It was like $25 or something. And everyone was doing it. But you don't hear the DNA test commercials so much anymore. Why do you think that is? That was all that DNA cheap testing to get your family history. It's so ridiculous, okay? Like me, what am I going to find out? That I'm British, German, Scandinavian, French, I don't know. My ancestors are from some country where white people are from. Okay, well, shocker. I'm glad I got the DNA test to tell me that. Oh, you're black? Oh, man, you've got roots in Africa? Shocker. You need to do what it was, what the DNA testing was really cheap that they were advertising was deep state government op to get a DNA database, and they got it. Now, there's been some good things that have come out of it because they've arrested serial killers and cleared out a lot of cold cases with it, but they wanted to put together a global DNA database. And even though I've never taken the DNA test, I might as well have because so many of my relatives have. So they have my DNA too in the database. Now, after they collected everyone's database, they don't need to promote it anymore. You can still get it done, but you're not hearing about it. Same with TikTok is spyware. they've stolen everything from everybody in this country. And not just this country, but around the world. They have all your data. And they did it through their algorithm, okay? And that's it. I mean, it was one of the biggest attacks ever done on this country was through TikTok. The other thing about TikTok, I don't know if the algorithm, the original TikTok algorithm, if they're going to get connected with it, right? What I mean is, I heard some of this. I don't know what the final deal is with this TikTok sale, but Mr. Wonderful from Shark Tank, he was trying to buy TikTok. And I remember Mr. Wonderful's bid on TikTok did not include the algorithm. It was basically, the algorithm is insane. Even if you do not use apps or the internet and have a total dislike of them, you get on TikTok, you will not leave. You will be locked in. The TikTok algorithm has the ability to serve up content to you that you will not stop watching. No matter who you are, no matter what your background is, they have that algorithm that knows how to control you so you don't stop watching TikTok. I've seen it happen with myself and my wife. It's crazy. You can't stop. That algorithm's pretty powerful. So I don't know if the algorithm goes with the sale. I don't know if China's keeping the algorithm or if the CIA and NSA are getting the algorithm. But the algorithm with TikTok is so powerful. And, all these people that talk about Russia interference and all this stuff. TikTok, okay, yesterday, did you see that talk with Dr. Oz? I might play a little bit of that later. They're talking about, they've banned the sex change operations and puberty blockers and those brawl things that that's all been banned now. TikTok, China is responsible for this whole transgender mess that's been going on the last few years in this country. They started pushing transgender people on TikTok. Some guy somewhere puts on his mom's clothes, all of a sudden he's got 12 million followers on TikTok in a day. So the Chinese, I know this sounds nuts and maybe you think I'm crazy, but this is true, okay? The TikTok algorithm, when TikTok, the Chinese pushed the entire trans agenda in this country through TikTok with young people by promoting in their algorithm transgendered people. And look at the destruction that's caused. I don't know. I can only imagine what other things that they've pushed the Chinese through TikTok. But they've accomplished their goal. And the algorithm, well, they probably have a better one by now because they learned so much about it with the first one. But those of you that have used TikTok, have you really used it and you looked up something that you're interested in? How do you can't put it down. No matter what you do, you can't put it down. Now, there's anything that involves the internet has an ability to understand you and serve you up ads or content based on your taste. But not like TikTok. TikTok, it's like the most potent crack cocaine ever cooked. You go on TikTok. I remember when the crack epidemic was new, they would tell us, oh, you take one hit off of crack, you're an addict for life, right? I don't know if that's true. I never did the crack, but they used to say that. That's what just don't say no to drugs, right? You inhale one breath of crack, you're addicted forever. I don't know, but I do know that TikTok is algorithmic crack cocaine. It is that powerful. What makes it powerful is that algorithm that you hear them talk about from time to time. If like on YouTube, they have an algorithm too, but it doesn't work exactly like TikTok. For example, if you go on YouTube or Instagram and you look up, let me think of something that's in the news, and you look up something like, okay, I'll give you an example. I was telling you guys the other day that I had that Christopher Cross song stuck in my head, Think of Laura, after Anthony Geary died. And I pulled up Think of Laura on YouTube and Instagram to watch the video, and all of a sudden, everything I'm getting recommended involves Anthony Geary, Luke and Laura, and Christopher Cross, right? And I had to clear out my thing. That exists. The TikTok algorithm is the most powerful algorithmic technology ever given to the general public, and not only is that transgender thing all happened because of TikTok, I promise you there's a lot of other things we don't realize has been pushed through TikTok. It's the biggest propaganda tool ever unleashed. And now that algorithm, because when Mr. Wonderful said his offer did not include the algorithm, well, without the algorithm, there's value because it's a brand, but the real power is in that algorithm. And my guess is that the Chinese had an algorithm unlike anything we've had, and the United States wants that algorithm. Maybe they already have it. Maybe they were able to grab it through some technology with everybody having the app on their phone. But it's the damage that TikTok has. I know this. I know I sound like a crazy person, but I'm telling you guys, it's true. The damage that TikTok has done to our country cannot be measured. It's so bad. Yeah, I mean that's just the way it is, guys. And these are things that you've got to accept. Okay, we're gonna take a quick break, but first I want to talk about Joe Thomas and annuities. Okay, now Joe Thomas was in studio last Friday. And we were talking about interest rates. And what Joe Thomas had said was very interesting. He had said, a lot of these investment vehicles, CDs, and there were a few others. There were about 3 or 4 that he mentioned. He'll tell you the 3 or 4 because I don't want to be inaccurate. That's his expertise. He's the financial planner. But he says they're performing well now because interest rates are high. And he says when the new Fed comes in, the new Fed chair, and they lower interest rates, your income from those are going to take a hit. So you hear that old phrase when it comes to investing, buy low and sell high. Right now, with those particular investment vehicles, you're at the high point. So now's the time you want to get out and put your money in an annuity, which, of course, your money's risk. There's no risk to your money, and you generate that income stream every month for the rest of your life. Call Joe Thomas. Take advantage of that no-charge consultation, which you can take advantage of in person at his office in Jupiter or on the phone or through Zoom, no matter where you're located, and he'll tell you more details about that. 561-743-0999. 561-743-0999. That's 561-743-0999. And online, jupiterjoe.com. We'll be right back. We'll be back in just a couple minutes, guys. If you're on hold, stand by.
George Conley.
Hey, it's Brian.
Hey, Brian.
Hey there. We have just over a minute. I'll put you on hold, and then when you hear me next, we'll be on the air.
Okay.
Great. Hold on. All right, stand by. You guys know what I mean about the addictive nature of TikTok, don't you? Mm-hmm. All right, we are back, and it's time to check in with George Colony, our real estate guy. George Colony, how you doing?
Fine, Brian. How are you?
I'm doing very well. You know, you were telling me yesterday, and maybe give some more detail about this. So this sounded not only fascinating to me, it sounds like an incredible opportunity to earn a lot of extra income and even multi-generational wealth. You were telling me about opportunities with multi-family units that people could get really good deals and financing on. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, thank you, Brian. It started out years ago when people would come to me and say they wanted to keep their costs of living down, so they wanted to buy two places, sometimes a duplex, and they would rent one side out,
Yep.
which would pay the bulk of the cost of the other. And then we started to look at multifamily as an investment where you purchase the property. If it's under 4 units, you still qualify for residential status as far as borrowing money. And then it's simply a case of how much money can you make as a result of buying a 4-unit after you pay the expenses and what's the net profit on it.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's really all over the place. But I think a lot of people that are selling their house today are calling me again about buying a duplex where the second part of the second unit could be used for investment purposes and offsetting the cost of the first one.
You know, I haven't heard, I do remember there was a big trend of duplexes, in the 80s, and I haven't heard people talk about duplexes too much, but there's duplexes, and then there's, I guess there's some with 3 units and then 4 units that you're talking about.
Right, and they go up to 100 units, but, for the average person looking to try to build some wealth for themselves and have the cash flows pay part of their expenses, and when it's you could rent forever, and in 10 years you could drive by and say, well, I paid for that building, but I don't own it.
Yeah.
Well, this is the opportunity for you to own it and live in it and cut your costs down.
Yeah, and not only are you doing that, because you're living there too. I guess there's some other benefits that you wouldn't get if it was just a total rental property.
That's right. A portion of it would be considered as your Homestead Act. The Homestead Act, everybody should look that up because there's some features in the Homestead Act here in Florida that are actually is part of the reasons why a lot of the big money people come here. They're protected.
Yep.
They make money tax-free. They get portability. That's another subject. But, yes, if you buy a duplex, then part of it is going to be homesteaded. The other part will be an investment. But the other part will generate the income to pay for the first part. And there you go.
That's amazing. You know, when you first joined us, George Colony, you know, what we talked about the first time or two you joined us is you're not just a real estate agent, you're a businessman who has an extensive background in business. And you can tell when you guys are listening to George Colony on the program, you can tell you're getting a business perspective when it comes to real estate on a level that people that are interested in buying a home can get involved in. So there's some finance opportunities too with this type of property you were mentioning to me.
Yeah, a lot of times the seller of the property would like to turn his property into income, so he finances it for the buyer, and he just takes an interest rate for a number of years, which significantly lowers the costs for the buyer because many times he doesn't require the insurances that the banks require. The interest rates are normally in the 3 or 4% simple interest. You're not paying down principal, but it allows you to build wealth, but really to live very inexpensively today. If you're looking at selling your house today, you should look at replacing it with a duplex or a fourplex because it only takes you 15 minutes to find out if it works for you. But that 15 minutes is going to be well spent, I think.
And I've always liked duplexes. When I was young, a lot of people in my family would buy and live in duplexes, and I've always liked them. And I remember I had an aunt that had a duplex. She did just what you're talking about. Her and her husband were retired. They lived in one side, and they rented out the other side, and it was a great deal for them. And it really helped their retirement a lot, too, on top of the increased value that you're earning off the property as well. Listen, give George Colony a call. This number rings directly to his cell phone, so you could call or text 954-801-7320. 954-801-7320. That's 954-801-7320. All right, George Colony, we'll talk next week.
Thanks, Brian.
All right, take care. All right, if you're on hold, stand by. Steve Kane will be joining us after the top of the hour, and we'll do a little bit of recapping. But, you know, one of the things, I did talk about this in the beginning, but here as we approach the end of the hour, they did get the shooter. And I learned something during the show today about this investigation in Providence, Rhode Island that I did not know. And this investigation stinks. Okay, so they got the shooter in the Brown shooting. He's also the shooter of the MIT professor. He's from Portugal, a green card visa holder, and the president has suspended the green card visa program, and we were talking about that. But I got a call in the first hour from Rabbi David, and Rabbi David told me something about the mayor of Providence, Rhode Island that I did not know. When that mayor came out for the first press conference last weekend, I couldn't tell if he was a man, a woman, or transitioning. It was very strange. And we know, because Rhode Island, he's a Democrat. But what Rabbi David let me know was this: he's gay, he's married, his husband is a hardcore anti-Israel, anti-Semite. I saw the press conference yesterday when they had the head of Brown University speaking. And the press have really been, in the last couple of press conferences, the press have really been pushing the whoever it was, the mayor, the police chief, or the university president, about the cameras. That Brown University brags big time about this camera system they have. Yet this incident happened where there were no cameras, so they say. And what some of the reporters have really been pressing them on it, and they've been evasive, very evasive. Day before yesterday, they actually ended a press conference over this. The police chief, they ended it. The university president yesterday, when she was pressed on it, pivoted and went to talk about anything but. And what's going on here is what the local media have been reporting is that the reason there's no cameras on that building is it's done on purpose. Now, what the local authorities have been saying, well, it's an old building. Well, you don't put cameras on old buildings. They've said that that has been an area where there's been a lot of activity from their campus Palestinian supporters, their campus anti-Israel, free Gaza people, and that they haven't had cameras there to protect people from getting deported by ICE and picked up by Homeland and such. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. But I do know this. When I watched that Brown University Providence press conference after they got the guy, well, they didn't get him. He took his own life in the warehouse. But after everything was rounded up, they look like they're involved in a cover-up here, okay? They got this news story, the authorities, that he didn't yell Allah Akbar, that he was barking like a dog. How does a dog bark sound like Allah Akbar? We don't, just because he's from Portugal doesn't mean he's not Muslim. And just because he yelled Allah Akbar doesn't mean he's Muslim either. But it was been reported by multiple sources that he yelled it out. Why he did, I don't know. But the targets were the Jewish professors, not the Republican girls. So he did go to Brown to take out the Israeli studies Jewish professor, and he did kill the MIT professor. So, what this all boils down to is, if they were involved in some type of cover-up, and I think that they were, based on everything I've seen, they have some responsibility in the murder of the MIT professor, because if they would have handled things properly there, that second shooting wouldn't have happened. Now, listen, it's the holidays, right? We are less than a week away from Christmas, and then we got New Year's. You don't want to go through pain in your body during the holiday period. Go see Dr. Appleton and say bye-bye and to your pain, and ho-ho-ho to a pain-free life. Dr. Appleton's laser wave pain treatment works, okay? Not just on me. I have met so many listeners that have gone to Dr. Appleton and are now living a pain-free life. They come up to me, and sometimes it's an appearance, sometimes it's out and about in public, and I always know they're going to tell me about Dr. Appleton ridding them of pain, because they walk up to me with a hand on a part of their body. Sometimes it's their hip, sometimes it's their back. Sometimes, a guy will walk up to me with his hand on his neck. One guy even did it with his knee. He was kind of leaned over, came up to me at Wings Plus with his hand on his knee, and it's always the same thing. I used to have X number, whatever condition cause pain in this part of my body, and now I'm pain-free now, thanks to Dr. Appleton. Thanks for telling me about Dr. Appleton. It's amazing. The laser wave pain treatment with Dr. Appleton works. The consultation is free. Appointments are not necessary, even on Saturdays, which is tomorrow. So take advantage of the no-charge consultation. Sit down with Dr. Appleton and let him tell you how he can rid you of pain, too. His number is 954-973-0710. 954-973-0710, 954-973-0710, and online, AppletonCairo.com. All right, it's the Steve Kane Show. Back after this. Oh, man.
Okay, here you go.
Okay, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, we got about 2 minutes. I'll put you on hold. I'll be back with you in a minute, okay?
Okay.
Hold on. about 90 seconds and we'll be back. Oh, man. I'm glad it's Friday. All right, Steve, you there?
I'm here.
All right, we got just under a minute.
Okay. You got me, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, the 8 o'clock hour has begun. It's the Steve Kane Show. I'm Brian. Steve is here. Hey, Steve.
Good morning. How are you today?
I'm doing well.
Yeah.
So they got the Portuguese shooter.
I was up all night watching that. It was playing around the clock. By the way, the criticism that the people from Brown were taking wasn't from the locals. It was mostly from Fox. Fox, the reporters were really unloading on them. And they're in big trouble now with they're going to get sued.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, negligent, they got $8 million. I think it's $1 billion. I don't know. They got these incredible endowments that they got all this money they're sitting on, and they don't have any money to put into security, and it's going to cost them big money.
Well, see, I think that this is what I think. These are some hardcore liberal lunatic people, hardcore. And yes. I don't buy, the videos that we've seen are from neighbors' doorbell cameras. Okay? So,
that's right.
So I don't buy that they don't have campus footage of the shooter. I don't buy it. I think there's some kind of cover-up going on at that school. They're so liberal, and the way they've been acting. Even if there's not any cameras on this particular building, which is absurd, there's cameras everywhere else. It doesn't. What you say all the time. It doesn't pass the smile test.
Yeah. Well, by the way, I wanted to double check something. I couldn't. I thought, unless I'm mistaken, did I catch you criticizing Donald?
No.
This morning?
Never. Never. You must have been hallucinating.
Well, maybe, but I mean, I heard where you were talking about TikTok, and it wasn't Donald the one that was instrumental in bringing what you described quite rightly this morning as being a evil influence on the country.
No. It's right to take control of it. I was just talking about the damage it's done in the past and why it's so important to get control of it. It was the biggest attack this country has ever seen non-militarily, TikTok. And I was just going through some of the damage that it's done. It's committed identity theft on everyone in the country. They have everyone's private data.
Why did Donald fight? And I see I'm at a loss here. Why did Donald fight so hard to make sure we bought it?
He didn't. No. Because they want to get it. They want to control it and get it off the market. They want it. The reason that President Trump was so involved in buying it is because it's so destructive. Because of all the damage. The damage it did, no one knew about it till after it was done. It was too late before they realized what it had done. But
well, I have my own problems with what the Donald has done in the last 24 hours.
I have no problems or criticism of anything President Trump has ever said or done.
How about the legally? Yeah, I know that it's called mindless.
Whatever.
What would you,
I call it loyalty, but whatever.
I say that with affection.
I call it loyalty, but why? What's your problem with Trump? How could you have a problem with anything Trump's done? Hold on, Steve. Give me 1 second to put you. Let me put you on hold for 1 second, okay? There's 87 calls just came in. All right, you back with me?
I hope so.
Yeah, I got you. So what's your beef with Trump? I don't understand. In the last couple
days, I don't like this. The legalizing the grass is horrible. Horrible.
Mm-hmm. He's not legalizing marijuana for recreational use. He's legalizing it for research purposes.
Well, that's the story, but that's not the way it works. What they're doing is making it more acceptable, and you do understand there's no controversy over the fact that it's big bucks. You understand that, don't you?
Marijuana is big bucks. Yeah. Eventually, what's going to happen?
Legalized.
Yeah. What eventually will happen is the tobacco companies will transform into marijuana companies. So you'll be buying Marlboro marijuana cigarettes or Cool King marijuana cigarettes, right, instead of tobacco cigarettes.
Is that meant to make me feel better?
No, but that eventually will happen. But he didn't legalize it was just for research purposes.
No, that's
medical purposes.
That's the story they're trying to sell you.
Steve, I can order marijuana. I can get the Cheech and Chong gummies online delivered to my house today. It's already legal. Full spectrum CBD gummies.
Yeah, but it's different than having the endorsement of the president.
Well, it's already legal. I mean, if I can buy marijuana from Cheech and Chong right now and have it delivered to my house today, it's already legal.
Well, you don't have to tell me. When I lived in New York, one of the many horrible things that's happened to New York, you can't walk three feet in New York without being bowled over by the smell of grass, that sickening, disgusting odor coming out of every business, every place you go.
Yeah.
It's like horrible. It's disgusting.
Yeah.
When I lived there, which goes back to what is the year I was in New York?
A long time ago.
You don't remember the year?
Well, I wasn't with you then. I don't know exactly, but it was a long time ago. Well, what would you rather? Well, let me ask you this, Steve, with Mamdani. Which would you rather have in New York City? If you were living there now, right? Mamdani's coming in as mayor. Would you rather have the smell of marijuana in the background or the sound of the Muslim call to prayer in the background? Which, if you could only have one?
I would definitely say
marijuana. Exactly, the marijuana. Yeah, over the call to prayer. Yes, I know. Do you want to take any calls or?
Sure. You got the button.
All right, let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, Scotty B, Florida. How you doing?
Okay.
Listen, I just, I was watching the Tale of Two press conferences last night. So the first one from Providence, they were giving out information like it was nothing in regards to. They mentioned about the guns and what was left, what was around the body, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you
what they didn't talk about and what they were embarrassed about was the lack of security. And that they're going to get sued for millions of dollars.
Exactly, but then what happened when you listen to the Boston press conference, they were asked about what was found near the body, and they said it's still ongoing.
Mm-hmm.
So you see, you got the Keystone Cops in Providence, Rhode Island, and they're just overwhelmed.
Well, you got liberals, you've got Democrats. Kash Patel should be the lead. Kash Patel should have been the lead in this, and it's across state lines. It's federal on a number of levels, and Kash Patel seems to me to be too worried about his girlfriend than actually being an FBI director.
But there were so many, and there's lawsuits coming up, and those guys. This from the.
See, this is what I think. We don't the guy's from Portugal, so we don't know too much about him now. we'll know more. But
Right.
but they thought that the guy could have been a Muslim, so they were slow walking everything in Providence, okay? Because they were trying to prolong getting a jihadi. Now he's Portuguese. He could be they have Muslims in Portugal, I guess. But because they thought it would be from one of their victim classes, and I learned from Rabbi David, Steve, in the first hour, that weirdo mayor is gay. His husband is a hardcore Free Gaza anti-Semite. So their fear that the shooter was a jihadi, they slow walked the investigation, and were in effect, I think, quite possibly responsible for the murder of the MIT professor, if that's true.
I believe so, and that president needs to be replaced real quick.
And the mayor and the police chief that speak Spanish in press conferences.
Oh yeah, and then he was given the date of birth, and as he was given the date of birth, he said, date of birth, he's 48. That's kind of date of birth.
48?
That's how old he is.
Oh my goodness.
Well, I mean, he was or something.
Yes.
He was totally lost.
Well,
Anyway,
because you know why he was lost? He's a DEI hire who doesn't think in English, he thinks in Spanish. So he couldn't
He talks in Spanish. When he's speaking in English, he talks in Spanish.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, hey, Pasa USA, watching that guy. If you remember that show, you know. But it's yeah, exactly. All right, listen, we got to run, but thanks for the call. You made some good points. All right, Steve, I'm going to put you on hold. We'll be back with Attorney Barry Siegel. All right. Sorry, guys. We've got just a little time to be back. Oh, man. We're never going to get the real story about that shooter. It's just not going. They're not going to let it happen. They're going to do everything they can to stop it from happening. All right, hold on. Let's see.
Hello?
Hey, Barry, it's Brian. Hey there.
Good morning.
Hey there. We have less than a minute, okay? I'm going to conference Steve in, and then we'll be there, so don't stand by. All right, Steve, you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay, I got Barry on the line. We're less than a minute away.
Okay.
Good morning, Steve.
Good morning. How you doing, Barry?
Good, good. Ready for the holidays?
Oh, am I ready for the holidays?
Okay, got 30 seconds.
30 seconds to go.
All right, we're back. And Steve, on the line, we have your attorney, Attorney Barry Siegel from the Siegel Law Group. Attorney Barry Siegel, good morning.
Good morning. How are you gentlemen doing today?
Oh.
We're doing great. How are you doing, Barry?
I'm great. I'm doing great. So anyway, happy Friday, and so we're upon the holidays. We're already in Hanukkah, and Christmas is coming up. New Year's. It's really the time
Day
of
is here.
It's really the time of the year for family, our loved ones. We're all scrambling for the gift giving, and a lot of times people wait till the last moment, or they're just trying to figure out what is a gift that has meaning. What can I give besides a tie or cologne this year? And what we are offering at the Siegel Law Group is the gift of peace of mind. Now, you may have taken care of your estate planning, but what about your adult children who may have your grandchildren? Have they taken care of their estate planning? You can give them the gift of estate planning, either taking care of their entire estate planning or taking advantage of our holiday special where you can give them a $1,000 gift certificate towards their estate planning, and it costs you $100. You could call our office, let them know you want to take advantage of that. They'll take your payment, $100, and they'll send you a certificate for $1,000 towards the estate planning for your family member. So for any of you who are looking for a meaningful last-minute gift, that is something that you can do to give the gift of love and peace of mind.
Yeah, and if you already have your documents done years ago, even from another attorney, the Siegel Law Group will, at no charge, review your documents. And all kinds of crazy things are found out, like grandkids or children are even left out, or maybe things are being left to your ex-spouse. All kinds of things can go wrong if you don't have things reviewed. And you recommend a review every 3 years, right, Barry? Am I correct about that?
Yeah, well, we do that for our clients. Folks who are our clients, we reach out to them every 3 years and tell them it's time for their estate planning checkup. And we review everything. We have conversations about whether the trust is fully funded. Has anything changed? Perhaps they need to change the people they named as fiduciaries, such as trustees, powers of attorney, healthcare decision makers. Maybe beneficiary designations need to be rearranged. Maybe their finances changed. And, of course, if the laws change, we reach out and let clients know if it's going to affect them.
Well, listen, give the Siegel Law Group a call. Make sure you mention that you heard Attorney Barry Siegel on the radio, on the Steve Kane Show, so you can take advantage of that no-charge in-office consultation. And ask about those gift certificates, too. Great holiday gift. The number is 855-FLA-3782, 855-FLA-3782, and online, SiegelLawGroup.com. All right, Attorney Barry Siegel, we'll talk next week.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen. Have a great weekend.
All right, take care. All right, you back with us, Steve?
Yes, I am.
All right, let's go back to the phone. By the way, it is open phones on Friday, Open Mag and Mike Friday. Any and everything on your mind is fair game. Hold on, Steve. I've got I've got so many lines coming in. All right, you back with us, Steve?
I hope so.
You are. Good. See, I got all this stuff figured out. I got to tell you, for years I've made fun of you with the tech, with your cell phone. My wife got me a new cell phone last week. The latest iPhone. My iPhone was done. It was done, and she got me a new iPhone last week, and I can't figure out half of the stuff on it. I don't know if the tech has gotten more advanced or if I'm just getting older. I don't know what it is, but I'm not going to make fun of you about the iPhone problems you've had anymore, because
I appreciate that so much.
I tell you, like the other day, I called George Colony the other day. And I FaceTimed him. Well, it was okay, but what if I, was in the bathroom? I didn't mean to FaceTime him. I thought I was just calling regular, and I hit the wrong number. You can really embarrass yourself with that FaceTime feature. All right. Luckily, I didn't. All right, let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, it's Renee from Harlem.
Oh, hey, Renee.
Hey, Renee, what's up?
What's up, Steve? I had to give your White Power Hour a little interruption just to set the record straight. I know you hate to hear this stuff, but I think they have succeeded in turning Israel into the next Rhodesia, which is today called Zimbabwe, by the way.
I don't even know what that means. Zimbabwe? Is that a retail store somewhere at the mall?
Zimbabwe, the country.
Is it like a convenience store, like Safeway, Zimbabwe? Is that right?
Zimbabwe, the country, idiot. Anyway, the bottom line of what I was calling about is that these Ashkenazi imitation perpetrators are soon going to find out that they have no allies anywhere else because they burnt their bridges.
Yeah.
They're not Jews. They're Europeans from Russia.
All right. I mean, come on.
Oh, my God.
Do you know...
Have a happy holiday to you.
You know, I figured out the whole black Israelite thing that he's a part of, that the blacks are the real Jews, and you're not a real Jew, Steve. You know what that is about?
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you.
Yeah, I know what it is.
No,
Go ahead.
I'm going to tell you. This will sound crazy, okay? But we're talking about crazy people. Black Israelites are nuts, okay? They're anti-Semitic, and the hardcore anti-Semitics believe a few things about Jews. The main thing is that you guys control all the banks and the money, right? So they think...
the story goes.
Yeah, don't you wish that was the case, right? So Renee from Harlem, being a black Israelite, thinks that the Jews control all the money and all the banks. So if they're the real Jews, they'll get control of all the money and all the banks. That's what that whole black Israelite thing's about. I'm telling you. I know it sounds crazy. I was telling that to somebody yesterday, and they thought I was nuts, but I think that's what it is. All right. Let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, good morning to Steve. Good morning, Brian.
Richie.
Richie.
Richie, how are you? Merry Christmas.
I'm fine. I'm just going to... Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy New Year to everybody out there. And I'm going to make it... First of all, Renee is crazy. It's all about race and religion and everything else. He can't lighten up one phone call in his whole life where he's not attacking a whitey.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, the guy is totally sick. I want to bring up the anti-Semite comment of Brian that he made years and years ago, and he couldn't remember the restaurant. I put it on the I don't know if he saw it, but it was Rascal House. You had to pay before you had to.
Yeah, I got. See what it was. Is that the one where Meyer Lansky used to go to?
Yeah, and there was Wolfie's down on South Miami.
It was either the Rascal House or Wolfie's, but they had.
It was Rascal House. You paid first.
Steve, you'll remember this because I got in so much trouble with the Jews over this. The Jews came after me. Not as bad as when the Italians came after me, but this time, I would never say anything disparaging about I would never say anything disparaging about the fine Italian people who have contributed so much to America. But I went to this, whether it was Wolfie's or Rascal House.
Rascal House.
Okay, I went there, had a meal, and to leave, I had to go through a turnstile. But before I could go through the turnstile, they checked my receipt, and I came on the air the next day. It was over the weekend, and I said, I went to this deli. And they wouldn't let me leave unless they checked my receipt, and I had to go through this. And I'd never experienced that before, so then I go to the phones. First call. So you say Jews steal, Brian? And I said no. I'm not saying Jews steal. I'm just saying that the restaurant apparently. I got in big trouble with the Jews on that one.
You were getting in trouble all the time.
Well, I did.
Yeah, you know who made it. You know who made a career out of, at the end of his career, made a career out of talking about the Jews stealing?
What? Who?
Neil Rogers.
Neil
Rogers.
Well, when that happened, Neil Rogers called me, and he said, "Brian, don't talk about the Jews. Never talk about the Jews."
Actually, he included the F word.
Yes, yeah, he did. So, but
don't F with the Jews.
But the reason I brought that up is that was such a mild thing, and I wasn't talking about the Jews, okay? I thought it was an unusual thing, But now, what people are saying about Jews today, nobody even blinks. I mean, you heard that last caller, and Candace Owens, and all these people with their anti-Semitism today is so hardcore and everywhere. No one blinks. I talked about this receipt, and I got the ADL after me long ago.
At Charlie Kirk, listen. At Charlie Kirk last night, his turning point. Ben Shapiro, the guy you don't like, actually attacked Candace.
Yes.
And attacked Carlson. I don't know if you saw that.
I saw it.
But the reply of did you see her reply?
I didn't see her reply.
I didn't. Hey, Richie, tell me the story. I didn't hear it, and I'd like to know. I'd be interested.
He used the R word.
Yeah, he attacked. He said that she's just a grifter making money on false allegations and basically we shouldn't listen to crap like coming out of her mouth, and that he hired the wrong person. It could happen. That she's a maniac. And Tucker Carlson putting on that Fuentes was the worst thing you could do. How can you give a platform to a complete Jew hater? I mean, so he attacked them. He even mentioned Megyn Kelly, who he said it was a friend of hers, but she shouldn't have even questioned anything. The only one that should have been grieving was his widow. I mean, listen. I was talking about this earlier. A couple things. One,
the whole thing at Turning Point last night was a disaster. Okay, Turning Point is Turning Point is not a place where conservatives go and rip each other. It's a place of unity, right? I call it CPAC and Turning Point is the Comic-Con of the conservative movement.
It's a rally.
Yeah, and it's not supposed to be that. But I was talking earlier about these two things that happened with Mark Levin and Ben Shapiro, okay? And Ben Shapiro, while I agree with him 150% on Israel, he's not a likable guy. I'm sorry, he's not. He's not a likable person, and people and people transfer their dislike of Ben Shapiro into anti-Semitism. Okay, Mark Levin did something stupid the other night with the president that I talked about. I just mentioned.
I got to say something about that.
Which part? The Levin part?
Well, fill me in on the story.
Okay, let me tell you about the Levin thing real quick, okay? Because I talked about it a lot earlier in the week. But Mark Levin did something really stupid and inappropriate. He went up on the stage with the president and put his arm around him, grabbed onto him, pulled him into his breast. President Trump tried to get away. He pulled him in tighter. So he was showing off to his buddies. And then he said, "This is the first Israeli president," he said into the camera while he had his arms all over. One of the biggest attacks, well, let me finish my thing. One of the biggest attacks against President Trump from the anti-Semites is he's controlled by the Jews, controlled by Israel. That was a dumb thing for Mark Levin to do. Not just putting his hands on the president like that, but calling him the first Jewish president with all this garbage going on. I mean, it wasn't smart.
You're right. But the fact of the matter is that you don't trust them. But guess who's a very close friend? They have dinner all the time together with the wives and everything. They're like bosom buddies, and they hang out together. And that's like one of his best friends, President Trump.
I know.
Mark Levin.
I know.
Oh yeah,
I believe it. I know.
Always at Mar-a-Lago, being invited there.
Yes,
and they're good buddies.
And I don't trust Mark Levin. I think he's still a never.
But you don't. But Trump does.
Okay.
No, they're good friends. Brian, they are the best of buddies, man. I mean, literally the best of buddies.
Did President Trump look like he liked what Mark Levin did, putting his arms around him and holding on to him?
I agree with you. I don't think Mark Levin should have done that. But Mark Levin is very warm. He would have done that in Mar-a-Lago. Wrong place to do it. But they're really close friends.
And calling him the first Jewish president with all this crap going on.
I agree with you.
It was
stupid. I agree with you here. I think it was stupid, but they're good buddies. You say you don't trust Mark Levin.
No.
President Trump sure does.
No, I don't trust Mark Levin, and I don't trust Ben Shapiro, and they're both never Trumpers.
Ben Shapiro. No, not Mark Levin anymore. I'm telling you. It's a total.
When he put, let me tell you, if Mark Levin truly felt the way that he portrays about Donald Trump, he wouldn't have behaved that way. When what he was doing was showboating to his friends.
He's a very warm.
Mark Levin was showboating, and he was trying to let people know, I got this guy under control. He thinks that he's manipulating President Trump.
Nobody has Trump. Nobody has Trump under control.
I didn't say that anybody has him under control. I'm telling you, Mark Levin believes he's responsible for President Trump taking out the nuclear reactor of Iran's. I believe.
I think there was a big influence.
Maybe. All right, listen, we got to run. Got to run. We're late for the break. They may seem like good. President Trump may think they're good buddies, but I don't think you didn't see the video, Steve. I thought Mark Levin was so inappropriate with that whole thing, and it was a dumb thing. All right, listen, we're late for the break. Let me put you on hold, Steve. We'll be right back. All right. If you're on hold, stand by. Okay? Stand by.
This is George Colony. I'm in the real estate business in Fort Lauderdale, Florida with Kai's Real Estate. I've been in business for 6 decades. People often ask me, what's the right time to buy or sell real estate? To tell you the truth, it's always the right time. You just need to have the right advice from the right advisor. You could call me anytime because I answer my phone on the first ring. My number is 954-801-7320. That's my personal cell phone number. And I answer it on the first ring every time. Please give me a call. I'm happy to answer any question that you have. My cell phone number is 954-801-7320.
This is Mark Laporta, son of Tom Laporta and proud second-generation owner of Laporta Roofing. As a military veteran who served in the Army after 9/11, I've brought the same dedication and discipline to our family business. At Laporta Roofing, we've been serving our community for nearly 4 decades, and we're committed to continuing that legacy of excellence. Our team specializes in all types of roofing systems, from shingles to tile, slate, metal, and flat roofs. We're the go-to experts for single-family homes, HOA communities, and condo associations. What sets us apart is our unwavering commitment to customer satisfaction. I've personally implemented systems to ensure you receive the best in customer service and workmanship. Don't miss out on our limited time offer for a free roof inspection. Call us now at 954-604-4602 or visit us at laportaroofing.com. Trust the experts who have been protecting homes like yours for generations. Again, that number is 954-604-4602.
This past year has been one of the hardest in MyPillow's history. It's because of you they're making it through the year. They want to thank you for your continued support by passing on some Christmas specials to our listeners. Get the Children's Bible Story Pillow, the 5-pack, for just $29.98. Get the My Slippers with a free bottle of leather protectant spray for $39.98. Blankets, comforters, and duvets for as low as $25. And a blowout sale on the standard MyPillows for just $14.98. So go to MyPillow.com or call 1-800-716-4879 and use the promo code CANE to take advantage of these wholesale prices, including the standard size MyPillow, originally $49.98, now just $14.98. Queens, $18.99. Kings, only $1 more. MyPillow products come with a 10-year warranty, but MyPillow has just announced they're extending their 60-day money-back guarantee. That's right. Orders placed between now and December 25th will have their 60-day money-back guarantee extended through March 1st, 2026. So go to MyPillow.com, use our promo code CANE at checkout, KANE, or call 1-800-716-4879. Promo code CANE for huge savings on your Christmas shopping. All right, we have about 10 seconds. All right, we're back. I'm Brian Steve Caines here. You said you had a question, Steve?
Yeah, I just wanted to pick up where we left off on Mark Levin and Trump. I was trying to understand what your position was. Are you saying that Mark Levin, that Trump felt alienated by it, or that he received it well?
No. Have you seen the video?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
That's why I'm asking.
Okay, it was the Hanukkah event. Okay, so so it was, a lot of Jews there because it was Hanukkah thing.
Did it make Trump uncomfortable?
I thought it did, but my you know what? I don't like Mark Levin, so my opinions could be very clouded by that. I'm honest. So if others have seen it, you could let me know. But he did something I've never seen anyone do to a president of the United States. He goes up on the stage with his wife, Mark Levin, and he takes his arm, puts it around President Trump, and pulls him into. Mark Levin's a big guy. He pulls the president into him, and the president to me looked like he tried to pull back, and then Mark Levin pulled him back in, and then Trump didn't try to pull away again, and then Mark Levin said, "This guy is the first Jewish president," and everybody got excited, and I thought it was inappropriate, and I didn't like it, but I didn't think Trump liked it either, but I could be wrong, but
you got the feeling watching Trump that Trump was offended?
I don't think. Well, he invaded his. No one likes someone grabbing onto them like he did. He put his arm around.
It's a Jewish thing. Come on.
What's a Jewish thing?
It's huggy and.
It wasn't a hug.
Feeling.
It wasn't a hug. They were side by side, and he put his arm around the president to his far shoulder and pulled him into his body. And held on to him. President Trump pulled to get out of it.
In Jewish, that's called a hug.
And then give a speech while you're holding the person up against you?
Yeah.
Please.
An exuberant hug.
Please. It was not a hug. I mean, I don't like Mark Levin. So when you don't like someone, you'll see things that aren't there sometimes, right? So
I'm a big Mark Levin fan, as you know.
I used to be till he became a never Trumper in the first campaign. But hold on, Steve. I'm going to put you on hold for a second and answer these calls. The calls are coming in like crazy. Okay, you back with me, Steve?
Yes.
Okay, I'll take some of these calls. Listen, I'm not always right, and I'm very open. I'm very open to
take some unscreened calls.
Every call we take is unscreened, okay? Except you when I call you. That's the only time I know who's on the line, okay? All right. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Lynn from Boynton.
Hey, what's up, Boynton?
Hey. So, I have mentioned before that I'm from Rhode Island, and so going all through this stuff with Brown and everything, that area where Brown is maybe 15 minutes from Providence College and Rhode Island School of Design, because it's such a small area, and it's called the East Side. And when we were in our teens, that's where we'd go and hang out, and it was just like a hippie done, and, but all the college kids there were mainly India and Japanese back then.
Yeah.
And all the college kids got along great together, except Brown University was the more studious of them,
Yep.
And growing up there was pretty good. So watching this news and seeing the new police chief and all these people who are running this area, in Providence, it's just so kind of humiliating, to see these people, because the police chief used to be, like the police chief, the police chief, and the
police. What you're saying, the police chief's a clown.
There's two things involved here. They're two separate things. One is that they were embarrassed because they were. Showed not prepared for the thing.
Yeah.
And the second thing is the legal aspect, which is going to get them sued for God knows how many $1 billion.
Yeah. But, the old force of police, they would have had that guy, in a minute.
Yes.
They would have been out there. It would have been not so dragged out like this. Now, when you have the police chief speaking, like you're saying, English and Spanish at the same time, you don't even know what the heck he's talking about, And the people behind him.
Well, let me.
Speaking English, I thought he was speaking Spanish.
It's called Spanglish, right? Spanglish.
Spanglish.
You know what it is. Let me tell you what it's DEI. The guy looked clueless up there, and it got worse throughout the week. But here's the thing. Like I remember when I was in high school in Fort Lauderdale. Shredahan High School, which was a big crime school at the time. I don't know what it is now, but we had a Fort Lauderdale police officer, and he was the school resource officer. And resource officers were new then. This was in the 80s. And he had a golf cart. that he rode around campus on, and he always had a bunch of kids in the golf cart, and they were all the thugs, and I couldn't understand it because I was a child, and then I realized, well, he's hanging out with the thugs because that's how he finds out what's going on, right? He's finding out about the. Well, the problem is now with police, you look at these high-profile incidents, you rarely see a white police chief. If you do, it's a black lesbian or a guy speaking Spanglish, and they're hired because they're a lesbian or they're Latino, and
it's all woke.
Yeah, and they hang out with social justice warriors. They're not infiltrating the bad guys like this cop that was my resource officer in school. They're hanging out with social justice warriors, and they're not really crime fighters anymore like in the old days.
Well, I don't think woke has gone really anywhere. I think woke is around, and it's, I mean, that's just me. And, but in Providence, when, it's just so when I see, like, they talk about the gay guy and this and that. Way back, like 30 or 40 years ago, we had one of the first gay mayors, and he went on to be a Rhode Island senator back in Washington, but it wasn't, like, broadcasted. Everybody knew it, but nobody said it. Who cared? He was a real good mayor. You know, and everything. And he had a relationship with one of the popular weather guys or something on the news, and nobody said anything. It was just there.
Like that mayor in one of the first on the press conference when they were so excited when they arrested that white guy last weekend. We got a white guy and he's in custody. This cracker, coming here from Wisconsin, and the police chief was talking, the colonel, in his broken English. And then one of the government officials whispered in his ear, but it was right into the microphone. Don't say those are the wrong words. Remember that?
They don't appreciate Fox at all.
They just don't have, like when we had Sheriff Nick Navarro as sheriff of Broward County, he was Cuban. He had an accent. He spoke Spanish.
There was a mensch.
But he would have gotten that brown shooter the same day. The same day.
Yeah.
Not this week later and another guy gets killed in Massachusetts. Give me a break.
Well, everywhere in the world, it used to be you say, well, I don't want to live here anymore. I want to go out to, I don't know, Colorado. Well, you can't go anywhere anymore. Mm-hmm. So you may as well just stay where you are and deal with it and live how the best you can.
That's right. Well, listen, I appreciate the call. We got to run, but you make some some good points. Great Christmas present, the Sloman's Home Security System. This is a great offer. Listen to this. Sloman's Home Security is offering a free home security system with free professional installation and 24/7 central station monitoring. You get all that for just $24.95 a month for 5 years. Okay? A free home security system and professional installation, absolutely free. Your Sloman's Home Security System includes a touchscreen keypad, 3-door window sensors, a motion detector, notifications, and remote keypad access. Give them a call. This makes a great Christmas gift for yourself and your family, your adult kids, your grandparents, your parents, or just yourself. Call 833-283-5050. 833-283-5050. We'll be right back with the Gold Report. All right, Steve, hold on. I got to get William. Okay. Hello?
Hello.
Hey, it's Brian. We have about 45 seconds. Hold on, I'm going to conference Steve in. Hold on. All right, Steve, you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay, we got about 40 seconds. I got William on the line, so stand by.
Okay.
All right, and it's time for our final gold and precious metals report of the week. On the line from the offices of William Youngerman Incorporated in Boca, William Youngerman. William Youngerman, how are the metals ending the week?
Metals are ending very strong, very stable, and doing an amazing job of holding their gains and building a strong base above 4,300 for gold. Yesterday we saw gold trade close out the day down $5.60 after being much higher at $4,331.70. Silver is down 73 cents, but at $65.41 the ounce. Platinum closed up another $25 at $1,921, and palladium was up $41 at $1,673. Overnight, we saw gold trade in a range of 43.09, again finding good support above 4,300, and as high as 43.37 right now. Gold is at $4,330. That's down $1.70. Silver up 38 cents at $65.80. Platinum up $6 at $1,927 the ounce. And palladium down $26 at $16.47. So the markets are doing very well.
Absolutely.
Really nice. Building good support on this little bit of sideways action that we've seen after silver making and platinum and palladium all making new highs. So that's been very stable for the market.
Yeah, it's hot. Now, guys, William Youngman opens up at 10 a.m. And remember, you can do all of your buying and selling over the phone and through the mail as well, no matter where you are in the world. Give them a call, 1-800-327-5010, 1-800-327-5010, or stop in Boca on the first floor of the Bank of America building, just east of US 1 Federal Highway, on the south side of Palmetto Park Road. The address, 150 East Palmetto Park Road in Boca. And find William Youngerman's address and phone number on his website, williamyoungerman.com. All right, William Youngerman, we'll talk on Monday.
Okay, have a great weekend.
All right, take care. Take care. Are you back with us, Steve?
Yes, I am.
Okay, I'm curious if anybody saw the Mark Levin incident with Trump, and is this just my dislike of Mark Levin, or was it really inappropriate? Okay, I'll throw that out there. Hey, I can admit when I don't like someone, and my opinions are clouded by my dislike of them. It happens. There's not that many people I really dislike.
Well, he's a great positive force in the Trump world, I can tell you that.
Maybe so, but doesn't mean you got to like everybody. All right.
Sit it on there, and then I'll slide in, okay?
Oh, we interrupted a conversation. It might be more interesting. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Brian, I'm never interesting to you. ID.
Whatever's going on off the air sounds very interesting.
Yeah, what you got for us?
Hey, Steve. I was hoping I had a little bit more time before I got on, but anyway, let me just go over here in privacy. If there was ever a definition for Keystone Cops, that would be the Webster Dictionary version of those clowns last night. And to find out the guy has a gay lover that is activist.
Not a lover, a husband. And why'd you whisper it? You don't have to whisper it. It's okay. Everybody's gay now, it seems. No, he has a husband.
No, I don't want to. I didn't want to let people around me know. I'm kind of moving away from people. I'm kind of like out and about doing something.
Oh, the people you're around. If you said a gay lover, that would offend the people you're around. Where are you? What kind of place are you at?
No, I am. I am private when it comes to being on the show because sometimes it'd be noisy and windy, so you hang up on me. But I'm trying to be in more like a quietness.
Oh.
But here's the thing: since I don't have a lot of time, right? Since I don't have a lot of time, I've never seen such buffoonness. All I heard was like birds chirping last night, a gibber. Those people didn't know what they were talking about. The definition of DEI was that scene. What does Democrats do when they get caught with their hands in the cookie jar? Run, deflect, hide. Just like the pipe bomber from the January 6th. They knew who it was because they found the bombs ahead of time of the explosion. Therefore, it went to Quantico. Who was in charge? Lloyd Austin. Who was he working for? Obama and Biden. What does that mean? Cover up, cover up, cover up. As usual, we don't have cameras in today's age. That is just the most nonsensical thing to even keep saying, like, oh, we're so stupid. And they always reserve the information till the last minute.
And now they're saying that this shooter, they're saying the shooter made barking noises. They were saying Allah Akbar, now it's barking. I'm suspect of all this.
I am so waiting for one brave student to come out and say, no, that is not true. I'm waiting for that one brave person because they're spinning the narrative. Who comes in with a long gun anywhere and go, ho, 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 ho. It's ridiculous.
I know. It starts barking like a dog.
Okay?
That is so strange.
That's what they say the guy did instead of Allahu Akbar.
It's Allah Akbar.
Right? And I told you that formerly from Louisiana and Canada, Mr. Dart from Texas, I told you he's like a boulder. You can never move him. You can be like Ralph Hinckley when he shrunk himself and jumped on the ground and tried to push that boulder over. If you believe you were Ralph Hinckley when he shrunk himself and pushed it over, then
I have never heard a caller make a reference to the greatest American hero before, and that's like a very obscure episode from an episode. I know the episode.
You and I had some
Let me ask you: Did you make that? I'm going to ask you this, IB. Find out how chronic you are. Did you make that greatest American hero reference because you know I'm a big fan to try to prolong the call, or was that just a natural thing you did?
Both.
See, I tell you. All right, appreciate the call. Appreciate the call. Oh my goodness. He's that's pretty bizarre, Steve.
I would agree with that.
Oh my goodness! I at least he told the truth when I asked him. Did you just make that reference to suck up to me so I'd prolong the call? And he said yes, half of it. Oh my goodness. Well, now with the shooter story, you know what it is, Steve. And this kind of goes back to the damage of TikTok as well. The attention span of everyone, including myself, has been so reduced in the last few years that the shooter at Brown is almost like old news now. You know what I mean? It's just not as big of a news story now that they got the guy. If they'd have got him like a couple days ago maybe, it's like the news cycle moves so fast.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
That's exactly what's going on.
Yeah. Hold on. I'm
Sorry to keep up with it.
It is. Let me put you on hold for a second, Steven. Hopefully maybe I'd like to. Are you back with us?
I am.
Oh, good. I didn't lose you. But do you agree with that though? That the news cycle is moving fast, but attention spans have been so reduced that if something doesn't happen on the day of, it's like old news and no one cares, right? It used to be, yeah. Like this getting this shooter, even though he took his own life in the warehouse, if this were 5 years ago or 10 years ago, it'd be a much bigger story. People are already tired of the Brown University shooter. They're just tired of it. They're ready for the next cycle. And I don't know if that's a good thing. That's one of the reasons movies aren't doing that well. The audiences don't have the attention span to spend 2 hours in one place watching a movie.
Look what a big story the Rob Reiner story was, and here it is 2 days later, and there's no room for it anywhere.
I know exactly. All right, let's see if we can get a good call here at the end. Hold on. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Stephen, Brian. Good morning. It's JJ from Mass.
Hey, JJ.
JJ, what's doing?
Well, the Trump Levin wrestling match on the microphone.
What did you make of it?
To Mark. Well, to me it was just kind of like a bro hug, But I mean, but I think it was sort of a normal thing to the people that were there. It's a normal to Levin, their buddies, love thy neighbor type of stuff. But Trump, he does tense up. He kind of stiffens.
Yeah, he didn't like it.
And Levin is like, he leans in to speak, and Trump, after like the first or second time, he just like
gave up.
He stiffens up, and he takes his hand and he swings the microphone over in front of Levin. So I think Trump was a little bit annoyed, but it was all sort of, to me, like in a...
he was hoping when he moved the mic that Mark wasn't supposed to come up and make a speech. It was supposed to be quick, and he turned the mic over to Mark Levin to get out of the bear hug, and it didn't work.
Yeah, I just thought it was... but to me, and listen, I watched it, and I felt as soon as he said Jewish president...
Oh.
I just sat back in my chair and I said, "Oh, that was great, Mark." You just, the heads are exploding now because you said that. With
his arm around him, which buys into that crap that he's controlled by the Jews. It was just
exactly.
stupid.
It couldn't have been. It couldn't have been. It was to me. It was totally innocent. I don't think Levin. It was innocent, but we're not talking about normal people thinking innocent. We're talking about crazy people thinking there are space lasers coming out of the back of somebody's patio. So it just, when he said that, I said, oh my, I was like, no.
Yeah.
But but to me it was innocent. He didn't mean to do that, but Trump.
I don't know. I thought he was showboat. I thought he was showing off.
I know, it's kind of love it this time of year. Everybody just gets, you got to try to take a little joy where you can find it.
You don't think that clip's going to make its way through Al Jazeera and all that?
Oh yeah, no, it's going to be it's going to be used. It's 100% going to be used, and that's the thing about it. But it's such a shame because I think it was somewhat innocent.
That's right. I agree with you. Listen, Rush Limbaugh after January 6th, Rush said, they're monitoring everything we say and do. Be careful what you say and do. Because they'll take it and put it in their context. Like the Susie Wiles Vanity Fair interview. You have to be smarter than that. And Mark Levin, inadvertently, he could have done a lot of damage to Israel.
Yeah.
Frankly. Listen, we gotta run, but I'm glad we ended with you, not the last thing. I want to tell everybody, your New Year's resolution to lose weight, call Coastal Weight Loss Secret. Listen, I lost about 1 pound a day without exercise, without starving myself. That's pretty good, isn't it? And I haven't gained any weight back at all, and got a completely fat. I had a fat stomach, Steve. I didn't want to admit it, but I did. Now I got a flat stomach. I would look down and had partially obstructed view. No more. Completely flat stomach, and I didn't think I could get rid of that, and it just melted away thanks to Coastal Weight Loss Secret. Give them a call. They can help you no matter where you're located. Schedule your no-charge consultation. 561-247-6300. 561-247-6300, and online, coastalweightlossecret.com. Well, we're winding down for the week, and did you see the president made New Year's, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, and the day after Christmas federal holidays?
I heard earlier, yes, I heard you say that.
That's a very good thing, and of course, I don't know what our schedule will be next. We'll be here Christmas Eve for sure. The rest of the week we haven't decided yet, but we'll figure it out. Hey, listen, everyone, have a great weekend. You're listening to Florida's longest-running radio show, The Steve Kane Show. Steve Kane, of course, is here. My name is Brian Craig. We'll see you Monday morning at 6 a.m. God bless America, and God bless Donald Trump. See you Monday, 6 a.m. All right, Steve, I'll call you later.
Hello?
Yeah, I'll call you later, Steve.
Okay.
All right, take care. All right, listen, if you're new, make sure you subscribe, guys, okay? And if you're already subscribed, please like the video and share the video on all your socials. You guys know I'll be back over the weekend live streaming and podcasting, so keep an eye out. And if you didn't catch my podcast last night, please do. The one in the thumbnail has Candace Owens and Pierce Morgan in it. I touched on some really important topics. Go and check it out. All right, guys, thanks for watching. I'll talk to you next time. Take care.